Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Endgame Students. This is the show Endgame Sensei without the sensei, without Jesse. Last week he was playing an OTB tournament. This week he's moving. Next week we hope he'll be back to give us some guidance.
That's right.
Yeah, so Kosti and I are going to work on an endgame together here. Probably play it once or twice and then talk about it a bit. Kosti, did you have any particular endgame position in mind?
No, but we have a few minutes. We can figure out quick position.
Cool. I have an idea. I would like to practice a knight endgame because that's what I've been studying for a year now. Last week we practiced a position that I'd already analyzed with one of our students the day before. Now let's practice a position that I've been studying for a whole year. And what I was thinking is one of us could just put a pawn structure on the board, and then the other person could place two knights for each player, wherever they want to, onto the pawn structure. How does that work for you?
It sounds tricky.
First, I'll take all this stuff off. And then, you can pick the Carl Khan or the Queen's Gambit Declined or whatever you want and make a pawn structure, and then I'll throw some knights on.
Okay, I'll try to figure something out.
Hanging pawns, King's Indian Defense.
Yeah. Okay, let me think about this for a sec.
It's looking like the Carlsbad.
How about that?
Looks good to me. All right, then I would put the knights on these squares here, and I'll just slide the kings over if that's all right. Like that. We'll make it white to play. Grab the fen. And you want to play this once with white and once with black? Should we just up the tempo a little bit so we can try both sides? Or does it doesn't matter which side? Because it's so equal.
Yeah. I'm fine to play it out either once or twice, honestly.
Okay. So maybe 5 minutes plus 30 seconds.
Yeah, that sounds good. Should we get some volunteers like last time?
Oh, guest commentators.
Yeah. Just impromptu.
Man,
Even
Kostya,
half
look
the
at
play.
you with the brilliant brain.
Yeah, just do the same thing as last week.
How did you come up with that? All right, that's amazing. What an idea. Okay. In that case, who would like to be our guest commentators this week? I'll have to redo the Zoom thing, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah, last week we had Acratic and Daster. That was fun.
Yeah.
This week, yeah, maybe we'll get some.
We've never had Morphifan, and here is Morphifan's favorite pawn structure of all time. Top one. Top one, folks. Not top 5, top 10, top 1.
Wow.
It
Morphifan.
seems made for Morphifan, this moment right here, for him to own it. Or we could discover who Pravit is. That's pretty tempting, too.
Live reveal. Yeah, that'd be fun.
You're supposed to be working. Work? Carlsbad. Work? Carlsbad. Now the whole chat's going to cheer. Morphe, Morphe, Morphe.
Hey, maybe Mitch. Mitch mentioned he has some free time. Mitch, do you want to come on do some guest commentary? We're looking for one or two. Hopefully two. Always fun to commentate with a friend.
Maybe I've got a better template for bringing in 4 heads. Like I could go over here, take this template. I could work on it in studio mode. That's what that's for, but whatever.
Okay, Charlie's in. If he can get paired up with a high rated player. Yeah, Mitch, you can eat while commentating. I do that all the time, and only 1 out of 100 give me grief for it. I think Mitch and Charlie could be a
There's
good
other
combo.
things you can get more grief for than that.
Yeah, yeah.
This is an old template that doesn't put the things under. So you have to be much more precise when you place the windows. Oh man, it's so much faster with the new stuff from Hokey. Wow. Big reminder for me to thank him again.
No, Jesse will be back next week, I believe, for this show. He is moving this week to his studio. Okay, Mitch is in 2 minutes. Awesome. I'll send you the Zoom link, Mitch. And I think Charlie got the shirt on, so sounds like we got Mitch and Charlie.
Perfect. Perfect. That with shirts, that's like super professional. Oh, why am I fixing the cameras perfectly when they're going to come in and...
Yeah, I think we'll be done within 2 hours.
Yeah, we've got a tournament set then.
Oh, we have a tournament today?
Yeah, endgame tournament for the for everybody watching. Your turn to play as soon as this is set.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's on the schedule. How about that, guys?
Let me put
After
on
this, we'll be able
my
to
hair's all messed up.
play tournament. Hey, we got Charlie.
What's up? I climbed my way back to 1375 already.
Nice.
I'll make it so I can see the chat too.
Yeah, you gotta see Scotty heckling you to get the full effect of being on stream.
I got to make sure Mitch now posts this on Twitter when he talks about his achievements this year, that he got to co-stream with Mr. Charlie Silver.
That's right. Beat an IM. Got to comment with Charlie Silver.
First time I realized Silva rhymes with Twitter.
Oh, did you learn that one in the Soviet school of jokes there?
Yeah, Soviet School of Hard Knocks.
What did Dan say? Hold on, I gotta.
Said he expected a tank top.
Tank top. What's up, Wrath? Alright, so guys, if you're not aware, this is a Carlsberg. I just learned that like 10 minutes ago in the chat.
No, this is going to be Kostya versus David.
Scotty, what is wrong with you? I don't know, Steve. %50 wall? Does it
There.
really matter?
There, that's another 20% Silva for you all.
When my chest strength gets stronger, maybe they'll make my face bigger. Scott.
Let's adjust this camera.
Legendary Mitch Fabian, guys.
Oh, it just stopped working. Okay, let me switch cameras to my other camera.
Oh, Mitch, I need to message you about another thing.
And if you haven't seen Mitch, you gotta watch Ultimate Sensei Season 1. It was like pretty epic for a chess show. But that was like more like not a show, like a game show kind of feel.
Yeah. That was our first big reality show.
It wasn't supposed to be insulting Freddie Patzer.
Okay, let's try this again. New camera. Okay. Let me 1 second. Let me just turn off this monitor. Okay. I have my work laptop and everything over there with 2 monitors, and then I have my chess over here.
Nice.
Okay.
There you go.
That screen's blank, so I'm not revealing any work information. We're good.
Wow, look at all those GM prep books. I recognize that. Cover.
Yep, the whole top shelf GM prep.
Yeah, some books stick out. Like I recognize like the Hellstein book right at the corner of the frame, and then I think it's that Vishayanan book at the bottom, the orange and green one. I
Yep.
can't see any of the titles, just that some books are.
Yeah, exactly.
Might want to switch places, or you'd rather switch names?
Oops. Yeah. I'll just drag you over here. Hang on. Charlie's just gonna go hide behind Mitch. He'll pop out and say hi afterwards.
Am I going the wrong way?
Ah!
Yes, I went the right way on the screen.
No. All right. I give up. And by give up, I mean I don't give up.
I would have just moved the text. That's okay.
Yep. It's a good tip for next time. I'm gonna get what I'm actually gonna do for next time is I'm gonna have Hokie make me a second template that's better for having 4 people's faces.
4 quadrants.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good for today. Oh, it doesn't have a title for the show. And it's got Coasty and me in the wrong places too.
I don't need the title. Title is in the stream already. DM's on it. Thanks, DM.
And watching the VOD, I was dying hearing Bruce telling me to resign, and then I swindle in the last like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, it felt good all over again. And then Ghosty is like, I knew he was gonna win.
It did.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna lose, and then I was wrong. Your opponent should really watch that like VOD, where for like 10 minutes I'm telling his opponent to resign, and then finally he blunders made him one.
No, actually, my real belief was that Charlie would lose on the clock, but not on the board, because his opponent like wasn't really doing much.
Nothing at all. Yeah, just sitting on it. All right. Charlie and Mitch, we're going to what are we gonna do? We're gonna plug in earbuds so we can't hear you. That's how we're gonna avoid hearing your commentary, so you guys can say whatever you like.
Sounds good.
And yeah, I'm gonna start the game now. It'll be 5 minutes plus 30-second increment.
Great. I can just click on you in live chess, and then I'll be able to see it, right?
I'm
Yeah, you
gonna
can follow
watch
either one
via
of us.
I'm watching via the stream so I can help read chat. So it's a little delayed, but not much.
Right. So we've got.
You should follow the live game, Charlie.
I only have one laptop, so I don't think I have enough enough space on my computer to see everything. Oh, actually, I don't need to see your faces. You're already on here.
I'll let you figure it out.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world to me.
As long as you don't put them in, Scotty.
Okay, so Kostya might flag here, or cause an abortion, and abort the game.
Kostya's got 8 seconds to move. He did it!
There we go.
He did it!
All right,
Look
so we've
at that.
got Carlsbad structure with only knights. This is interesting. I don't know if the minority attack works without the assistance of the other pieces, but
Fine.
I think I know what Kostya wanted to do.
Mitch, first question: what particularly defines it as the?
I know I only
Carlsbad?
spent a second on that move.
yeah. So the Carlsbad
probably wanted to
structure
play F3,
comes out
E4.
of it comes out of the Queen's Gambit declined exchange variation, and some other structures as well. But it's when the C pawn takes on D5 and the E pawn recaptures. So you've got the 4 black pawns on the queen side, versus the white has a mass on the king side and then 2 pawns on the A and B files. Typically, the minority attack involves the 2 pawns trying to restrict the black pawns and then using the white pawns on the king side to actually get through.
So it's all based on pawn structure then.
Yes, the Carlsbad is a pawn structure, pawn formation.
Awesome sauce. So it looks like Proust moved up with the F5, starting to march towards the white king.
Let me see if I can adjust my volume for the chat.
Congratulations, Katya. One of my favorite people in the dojo. When watching his games, he just celebrated his 1-year subscribe anniversary, and we're really grateful that you're a part of our community. So cheers to that. Kings are being activated.
Okay, chat. Can you hear that better now? Okay, he says good. Cool. All right, yeah. Kings are getting activated. So this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure how white. So white's going for b4, like the minority attack, but he does not have the rook to back it up. Um,
When you say the minority attack, does that mean like your weak pawns on one side against a stronger pawn structure? Is that why it's the whatever you just called it?
yeah, it's called the minority attack because you have fewer pawns, and you're trying to advance them and trade them off, and then use them to, um, they're not trade them off, but to stop black from getting any traction on that side, and
Awesome.
um, then use your extra pawns on the other side um, to advance. So it looks like Kostya is going to try to put the pawns there for whenever David tries to push any, and then block them off, possibly.
Is it just my noobish eyes? But it seems like the knights are very restricted. Is that a correct assumption?
With so many pawns, yeah, it's a little difficult to get good mobility of the knights. Um, Black is probably eyeing c4 and e4 for potential squares. C4 especially, since it can't be bumped by a pawn, but Kostya with white is protecting against it pretty well. Would be able to trade off the knights. So David would need to have two knights eyeing that square before being able to go in.
Yeah, I actually think this endgame seems kind of complicated.
Yeah, it really is. Thankfully, I'm sure that both Kostya and David understand it fairly well.
Yeah.
With more pieces on the board, it's a little difficult with just knights to really come up with the nice plan. It looks like Kostya is probably going to be going f3 soon. Trying to push in there. That's why David played f5, was to try to prevent an e4 push.
Yeah.
Because that's one plan for Kostya here.
So basically, when if David tries to go to one side and assist some pawns, he's going to try to do a massive push on the other side. Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying? Yeah.
yeah. So Kostya's pawn advantage lies on the king side, where he's got the 5 pawns
Hmm.
as one mass, and David's lies on the queen side. So Kostya wants to stop the queen side advance. David wants to stop the king side advance, and then focus on their own advance.
Sounds like doing a few things at one time.
Yeah, there's some prophylaxis involved and some heavy planning. It's a complicated end game. It's the subject of a lot of games.
What do you think about Wrath of God's suggestion of going b6 to c5? I'm trying to see what he's saying. Okay, I see it. Yep.
Let's see, beat. Yeah, so David's going to want to be trying to break through once he has Kostya's pawns kind of stopped, and Kostya is going to have the same thoughts on the king side. So b6, c5 is kind of what he wants to go for, but Kostya can stop it up pretty well with counter pushes. So if b6, he might be able to play b5 himself. It might not work, but
Yeah. One of
that's a
my
common counter push.
one of my close buddies that actually lives in Saudi Arabia as well. He was asking, what is actually the point of this exercise if he thinks it doesn't happen often in a game? Since you're way more advanced than me, Mitch, what's your viewpoint on this? On practicing just end game setups.
So a lot of it is visualization and calculation training in itself. So while it might not be this exact end game that we get, this end game aside, because I think that this end game is particularly important to know with more pieces and with less, but a typical end game in general with fewer pieces on the board is a good way to train yourself in visualization. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So with because a lot of times you're trying to think of your move, their move, your move, etc., and visualize past that.
Mhm.
So that's one important part of endgame training. Another is just to learn the ideas that you would be using. Night endgames are especially difficult. Um, they're very strange because they're very similar to pawn endgames, but also can be very different depending on what's all going
Yeah.
on. So night endgames are pretty difficult. But here we see, as I said, David's trying to put a knight onto c4.
Yep. It's like ultra defended with a pawn and the other knight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
know
do.
from a educational standpoint, anytime you can work on something, those concepts and that conceptual thinking
Mhm.
transfers into a game situation. You just got to learn to how to apply those small little tactics and situations and take that with you into different games and stuff. But it all transfers. You gain a lot by through experience. Knight B3 now is what Katya says.
Thank you, Enzite, for the prime. Uh, what does Katya say?
Oh,
Where?
Knight B3 for white, I believe.
Oh yeah. Um, let's see. Knight b3.
Oh, that's a strong
Yeah,
outpost if he's.
trying to get to c5 himself. So that would be a trade of outposts. One knight onto c4 and one onto c5. Although the c5 outpost can be stopped with a b6 move, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. I just like always hearing people's perspectives in chat and taking a look at them myself. We learn a lot from
Yeah.
each other in the dojo community. It's really cool.
Okay, so Kostia plays b5. So
He's attacking.
yeah. So here, the idea is after the pawn takes, he's likely going to take back with the knight and try to trade off these pawns on the queen side.
Hmm.
So that would leave just the b7 pawn. If pawn takes, knight takes a4, knight takes a7.
So it's a
Uh,
clearly attack on weakening the pawn structure in general, right?
yeah, so it's a little risky because then the b7 pawn becomes passed. But it'd be very hard to advance it with it being isolated and the two knights already being on that side of the board.
Two. So Braden Laughlin, who's a huge fan of you, says he would play H4 with a plan of knight E2, knight F4. What's your thoughts, Mitch?
Yeah, that sounds like it would be a good plan to be able to outpost the knight on f4 with the h pawn helping prevent g5. Yeah, f4 and e5 are the squares that white wants his knights on. If he were to try to be active on the king side. So here we see the exchange of pawns. C takes B. I am expecting knight takes B here.
Mm-hmm. To get that
Oh
outpost
nope,
further
never mind. It did A
on.
takes B. Um,
Well, now he doesn't get to exchange his knights off. Maybe that was his point. Because if he took with the knight, wouldn't he probably get it exchanged with another knight?
yeah, it's a possibility that they would have traded off. I think that in that case, if knight takes B, knight takes B, A takes B, um, I think
One.
then white's pretty happy with the exchange of knights, because then the uh, the other knight cannot easily get to c4. The black knight.
Yep, yep.
However, I could be pretty wrong about this because I do not understand this endgame well enough.
Yeah, everybody knows we're all just doing our best, and we assume that the IMs are making the correct choices,
Yeah.
but we're trying to predict it and we're trying to analyze it ahead of time. And Keep on putting your suggestions in chat, guys. We'll take a look at it and we enjoy it as well.
So Braden is saying there was an issue with knight takes b8, knight takes a4. You can't take on a7 because the knight is trapped.
Who traded down into the second?
Yeah,
Conti is like
that's true.
he's getting frustrated the whole time. I can see him. He's like,
Yeah, it's true that the knight would be trapped, so maybe not knight takes a7. Maybe something like knight to c7 check. In which case he's then going to pick up the d pawn instead of the a pawn. But that is a little difficult because in that situation, we're giving black 2 passed pawns, but getting our d pawn passed. So that would have been interesting to do.
if you were white, what would be your top move here? I'm gonna.
I want to
ask you
reposition
the
my
whole
knights.
time. Just so you know, I'm gonna be the question master today.
Yeah, I'd want to reposition my knights, but I don't know where they want to be. Because we want them on the queen side now that we're trying to prevent black from moving his pawns forward. But I don't know how, because the knight on d2 is very nicely placed defensively, but not offensively.
Correct. Yeah, I can see that. It's very back.
Because it's nice to prevent black from getting to c4. But then, you're using a piece only defensively, which is not very nice.
Yep.
Okay, so we are repositioning that knight. So now after something like knight c7, knight to a3 can defend the pawn. So you have 2 knights defending against the 2 knights.
It's crazy for my scrubbish. I see his mouse. Oh, he went back. It's crazy for me how it seems like they're both fighting over like, not necessarily that one pawn on b5, but it's like in my mind it would be like, oh, it's 1 versus 2 pawns and let's push the other side. But obviously the right thing is preventing these passed pawns coming down either way.
Yeah. So that's White's goal here is to prevent the 2 pawns with the 1 pawn. And then once the queen side is fully secure, he can start thinking about breaking through on the king side.
Mm-hmm. Dan, make dinner and make some for me.
All right,
please.
so knight a3.
Yeah, that nice system.
They're both getting pretty low on time is one thing to consider.
They have the increment though, I believe, but it's still low. You're saying, yeah.
Yeah. What's the increment again?
I don't know.
It's 30-second. Yeah. Okay. That'll be enough.
No, I've had dinner. I always eat second dinners if it's good. No joke. I weighed 185 pounds in August. As a teacher during COVID times on Zoom the whole year, I now weigh 212. I never got over 194 my whole life.
Yeah. Sounds like me, except a lot bigger for me.
Yeah. I'll hopefully lose it. But if I don't, I'll just look more cheery. That's all.
At the start of COVID, I used the time with a lot of exercising and dieting and got down to I lost about 20 pounds. And then I gained it all back when I realized that it wasn't going to be going away anytime soon, and then I gained an additional 20. So
Well, luckily, good women don't judge people based on weight. So, and I know you're married and you have a wonderful family. So, I gotta just say, our boy Drew Clark Nordovik just registered for Vegas, and that is pretty exciting.
wow, enjoy Nordovik. That would be great.
We all hope you do well and represent the dojo with pride. Whoa, 2 knights on the rim.
Yeah, so white and black exchange pawns. Now black just has the past a6 pawn. However, a rook pawn is very hard to to queen. Um, so
Without
we're
help.
probably going to expect knight c5, I'm guessing here, planting himself on that outpost. And then probably after king c6, here we might see f3, or I think f3 would keep the knight from coming into e4, and set up ideas of pushing on the king side now that the queen side is somewhat locked down. Yeah, here's f3. Okay. What do we expect here? Black wants to get that pawn queened, but it's going to be very difficult. Okay, a5, he's going for it.
Yep, I can see his mouse on the delay. Proust hovers over the piece he's really thinking about for a while.
Yeah. Nordovic, have you checked out some merch to wear to the Vegas tournament? I've got the hoodie. I really like it.
This is like super instructional. I know sometimes for lower people like myself, it's hard to understand the purpose, but I never would have expected so much protection, and the eye is fixed upon this black queen side, right? And I
Yeah.
assumed it would have been white would have been going with their horses on their own king side. So, and he's repositioning his knight now.
Yeah, so that knight is probably going to come over to the king side. Depending on what black does here. If black tries to aggressively position his knights, maybe white doesn't have time.
Oh, so now they're trying to figure out, both of them, is how many pieces are you going to try to attack or defend the a5 pawn, because the game's going to soon switch to the white king side. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, there's going to be some play on white's going to hope for some play on the king side while still keeping the queen side under check. Maybe knight c3 here to put two knights defending a4, so that he can't do advance that. And then maybe we'll see that c3 knight reposition again.
Yeah, it would make sense. The knight c3, since he did did a move. I don't know if it's called in between, but a move to reposition it to get in a better square. So
Yeah, I would expect maybe something like knight c3, king b4, king c2, getting the king over to also help against that pawn, making sure that there's no way that it gets to a1, and then once the king is a bit closer to that side, then I'd expect some pawn pushing on the king side.
Smartsburg, when I first read dishwasher safe, I was thinking of the hoodie, and I'm like, what? And then I realized you're talking about the mug.
Yeah. Yeah, so Kostya's spending some time to think here. He's trying to decide if he wants to play knight c3 or maybe knight d2 is probably what he's thinking about. Or alternatively, he might even be thinking of king c3.
David's king is like super duper active.
Mm-hmm.
Super active.
Oh, he's going back to a3. Okay, so maybe the thought here is he actually wants to reposition through c2. So maybe after king b4, he's going to go knight c2. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking he was gonna just go b4, but I figured my assumption was wrong. Oh, now he just checked him back. I gotcha.
Yeah, so it's interesting because now he's left it so that a4 is only defended by one knight, so he can potentially push it, but he can't get it far because the other knight defends both a3 and prevents the king from going to b4. So I think that's the idea of putting the knight in c2 instead of c3.
Oh, yeah. So for people that had trouble visualizing that first, if you can see now that the black king cannot progress because the squares are covered by both knights and actually the king itself. So that's why the whole repositioned and shenanigans happened.
Yeah, this is part of the complexity of knight endgames. Is sometimes it's hard to see which squares the knights prevent the other pieces from occupying. All right, so knight c4. So black has gotten a nice outpost for his knight. Is attacking the e3 pawn, though it's defended by the c2 knight for now.
Yep.
But Yeah, Steve North points out the black king cannot go forward. That's the nice part about those. Okay, so we've got h4.
Every time somebody says H4, H5, I think of Mr. O. Ultra Shock. That's his starting move on his openings.
Oh, really? I
Well,
did
yeah,
not
he
know
was
that.
the H pawn top twice.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I didn't know that. All right, so g6 preventing h5 for now.
Uh huh.
Um,
Standard pawn structure kind of look.
okay, so
Okay.
Kostia invading with his own knight. Knight to d7.
Ooh.
Now we
Oh,
get
I'm guessing it's gonna go to F8. Knight F8 next. The white knight.
yeah, f8 would be a strong square, attacking the h pawn and the g pawn.
Hmm. There's no dodge, basically. Ah, cool, Drew. Drew bought a hoodie and a tee. I'm sure the
Nice.
senseis appreciate it.
Enjoy
Don't worry.
the hoodie and the t-shirt. Hopefully they get there in time for the tournament. When is the Vegas tournament?
Have you ever been to Vegas, Mitch?
I've been to Vegas when I was a kid, so not necessarily the best time to go to Vegas. So it's 2 weeks from today, the 17th.
Yeah.
Good luck in it, Nordovik.
My goal in life is never to go to Vegas. Not that it's bad. I just don't have money to gamble.
Yeah. All right, so Chestock asks f6 would be strong or no for the knight. So the idea about f8 is that it's attacking both h7 and g6, so the h pawn can't be advanced. F6 would be a nice square for it to be on, but it's only attacking h7 since currently the d5 pawn is defended. So that's
Scotty,
the idea of f8, but both could possibly good.
Scotty, I'm guessing the brand is like Gideon or Gilgian. I can't pronounce it, but a lot of music and bands use that brand as well. It's cheaper than Hanes, but not bad.
Yeah, so Braden, if knight e6, that defends the f8 square, so white can't go there. So that would be a good idea. And then after knight f6, we're forking those two pawns though. Now is the bad part about that.
We can
D5 would be
tell
hanging.
we can tell that Proust is still fixed on that pawn. He wants that pawn to promote. And it looks like Kostia is already kind of thinking more about his own king side on how he's gonna play on, I want to say the left side of the board, but I know it's not. The HGF files and stuff.
Okay, king a4. So the knight left c5, so it can no longer protect the a4 square. However, the king cannot get to b3 because of the other king. But I think the idea was to go knight a3 to trade
Yep.
knights.
Trade knights, and then, oh, that's a good move, though.
Or actually, this also opens up the b5 square for his own knight to check the king. So after it, like if Kostia were to go knight f8 like originally planned, he might actually go knight to b5 check. Then the king has to
Yep.
go back to d3 as his only square, and then Kostia's king can get into the position. So I think that Kostia has to repeat with knight c5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see the plan that Proust had of trading off the knights and then leading the way for his pawn to promote somehow, but I don't know how he can do it if b2 is defended by the king. How is he gonna get out of the a file to? But I guess we'll see. Oh, dude, I wish I had avocado. Avocado's so expensive here. I like avocado. I also like saying avocado. So
So knight f6 could be another option over other than knight c5. So after knight f6, we could see if knight b5 check, king to d3, king to b3, then white can take the d5 pawn. It's potentially risky to allow the king into the position, but then at least we get the d5 pawn and have our own threats of pushing that the d pawn. But that
E4
looks
seems
a little
like
scary.
I know it. Not E4. D5 seems like an essential pawn. I know they all are, but that's a central figure right there. I'm guessing he's gonna want to defend that with his life.
Yeah, so it's potentially knight f6 could dissuade the knight b5 idea. But I think Kostya is thinking about that, or if he wants to repeat and just take the draw.
Scotty just says he has 10 avocados in his fridge.
Okay, we see knight f6.
Mitch is like, I don't care. He talks about chess.
10 avocados. That's a lot of avocados.
Yeah.
Okay, so Morphe fan says that he thought knight c5 in repetition was the best. Oh, h5. Okay, this is a mistake. Knight takes d5, knight takes d5, then you take the c4 knight.
Hold on. Stop. Slow. Whoa. Okay. So you said knight takes d5.
Knight takes d5. When the black knight takes back, you take the c4 knight.
Oh, because it's hanging. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So h5 was a mistake by David.
Like 100%.
Yeah, there we go. Knight takes d5. Yeah, so that knight can't go anywhere. Both knights are hanging right now, so
Actually, yeah, it's actually because then the king takes the knight, and then the knight needs to move again, right? Because then it's
Yep.
attacked as well. Good observation, Mitch.
yeah, when there's a loosely defended piece like the c4 knight, it's always important to see how you can attack the defender or overload the defender. In this case, we attacked the defender and got it to a position where both knights are no longer defended, so we get a free pawn. If we can take the c4 knight also, that's very nice to box in the black king. So
Yep. There's a if you want to learn more about that, Bruce made a great video, #new, and there's a link to that to Tactics video where he talks about undefended pieces, barely defended pieces, and all that good stuff. It really can help your progress tremendously.
yep, it's in chat there if you want to see it. All right, so now we've got knight b6 check on the board. Here we're probably going to go king c5, advancing our king into the black position. Though it is, I'm not sure. That leaves the b3 square open. Okay, he ended up doing it. I was going to say that leaves the b3 square open for the black king to get into the position. But while we're attacking this knight with every move with king d6, it's hard for black to get a chance to get his king in.
Oh, I see those passed on to the board going to be marching down the field there.
Doris says, so David is mitching it. Yeah. For those that are newer to the channel, mitching it was a term created by Kostya and propagated by Jesse of when you get into endgame and you move too fast and blow a good position.
Yeah, Mitch was one of the first famous dojoers, if you want to be honest with that. If it wasn't for Mitch, none of us would have been ever probably on stream or trusted or liked or anything. Mitch broke down the boundaries.
Yeah.
He's an OG. That's right. He's an OG.
All right, so king c6.
I'm soda water all over my laptop. Don't do that to me. All right, so last thing I see is king to c6, threatening the d7 knight. Where is it going to go?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
f6?
Yeah, I was going to say f6 is probably where it wants to go. It's farther away from the king as well, so it can get some rest from its running away from the king. And then, yeah, so f6, and it's also better placed than the back rank.
I think this is the A5's moment. But actually, how you got to you're going to sack the knight if you have to prevent the pawn from going.
Yeah, that's probably what White's gonna have to do. We're probably gonna see both knights come off for the A and D
Pawn.
pawns, and then we're going to see that White has an extra pawn with which to play, and will win the resulting endgame
Steve,
or resulting.
Cruz shows emotion all the time. Do you see him like having anxiety attacks trying to help me get better? Jeez. He
Yes,
always shows emotion.
Steve North saying, "Feel bad for David, but it just shows you how difficult endgame play is." Yeah, especially these night endgames. It's so complicated to see how everything is working. Knights are so hard to track their movements, so this is a very good visualization exercise for them when they're calculating.
Yeah. But he's also in control during his own games. So,
Sorry that I keep looking over. I have to move my work mouse every now and then so that they don't think that I'm slacking off and doing what I'm doing right now.
yeah. See, kids, when you move high up on the food chain like Mitch, you can pretend to work and still get paid a lot of money for it.
Yeah. I switched over to a new position recently on a new team, so I'm actually just kind of waiting on training documents. They said that they get to me, so I'm
Yep.
waiting
Don't
for
worry.
that, and then I can learn the new role.
I'm a huge like salary guy. It shouldn't be done by the hour. It's more like you find a way to get it done. You show you're responsible. So I'm truly just messing with you, big guy.
Yeah. Yeah, living the dream on stream, doing chess while getting paid to work as an actuary. All right, so we saw knight b5 in order to stop the a pawn from advancing and set
A3
that
is
up.
prevented.
And then we saw the king invade to d3. This is interesting. So he's attacking
What
the e3 pawn.
what happens though if the white king starts to use himself actually to go to the A4 pawn? Um, like how is black gonna stop that and fight like on two sides of the board at once?
Yeah, so I think black here is no longer concerned about advancing the a pawn. He's more concerned about using it as a threat, while getting his king into uh, white's king side. And actually, I think that d7 was probably a mistake from Kostya because it allows all of the black to get all of these pawns. And I think this is so complicated. I think it's a draw, right? Because black's going to get to the pawns first. I could
That
be
was
wrong.
Monica's last move. It might have been you said a mistake, right?
Yeah. So here, king. So
White
king
win.
f2, king f6, king takes g2, f4, king to g3. No, not king to g3, because then after king g3, white has king to g5, and has the opposition. I don't know. It's hard because if you leave the g6 pawn, you can't take those pawns wherever the white king or the black king goes.
PB corporeal.
That's great. Okay, so can
Right.
Kostya?
Oh, is he gonna stop this promotion?
So we got king takes h5, king takes f3.
Uh, and then maybe king to
We
G3. Is that right or wrong? I'm trying to. I'm not good at visualizing this as well as you are.
so it'd be white. It'd be white's move after
Oh,
king h5, king f3. I
okay.
think
So
then king. Oh no, because now we have to be worried. The black pawn is more advanced.
yeah. So you got to use your. You're screwed. Are you?
Flying Puppy Dog, Kostya and David are playing, not able to hear us, and Charlie and I are commentating. It was a endgame position setup. Carlsbad with only knights. So yeah, I think black is doing better here. Is there anything that white can do with the knight to
But if the
make
white
it?
moves away, then he just promotes the A4 knight.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yo, this is some intense shizzle.
So yeah, because if you go knight c3, he goes a3, but at least knight c3 is keeping the black king off of e2. But as soon as he moves a2 himself, then it doesn't matter because then the white knight has to take.
Knight A3 puts black in Zugzwang, or whatever you say that word, Zugz. I always feel like I'm saying an inappropriate word. Zugzwang. What is it?
Zugzwang.
Oh, Zwang. Zugzwang. That's it. Does
That
it? Steve Wright, Knight A3, Zugzwang. Yeah,
yeah,
it's still hard for me to say. I had speech therapy in third and fourth grade, so many words are like hard to pronounce for me.
okay. So Steve's saying knight a3. Uh, it's not Zugzwang though because he just moves the king and then advances his pawn. Okay, king g6. This is difficult. All right, so if king g2 or king, you probably don't want to go king e2 because they can get checked. So king g2, king g3, and king e3 are the options, I guess. So king moves. Let's just call it g2. Um, or probably e3 is probably better. Let's call it king e3, h5, f3, h6, f2, h7, we queen, he queens. After he queens, we take their knight, right? Because it's on the diagonal of f1. Then is that position winning with the extra pawn? Is the question.
Mm-hmm. I have a question because that's what I do. Why is King G4 the wrong move?
Um, I don't
I'm not saying
necessarily
it
think
is,
it's
but
wrong.
it's just something I looked at and I'm like, it's not one
Yeah,
you mentioned.
yeah. King g4 is probably fine here. I don't see how it's any different than g2 or.
But to
Um,
me, it just looked more aggressive. Like it's threatening the pawn and it's like getting the king away from going towards our pawn. I don't know.
yeah, one thing to note with it is it's probably a bit easier to check
Okay.
um, from white once he queens, but it probably
I
yeah.
wouldn't call it GM technique. I'm just thinking, and I'm not afraid to share my thoughts, ask questions. I'm like the person that, when people assume Mitch might not, he might not assume, but sometimes people assume everybody knows what everyone's talking about and processing it as fast, and I'm just kind of like, hey, slow down there, doggy, and then I pull the leash and try to ask good questions.
So
Douglas
Chestock
thinks
is
it's a
asking,
good
doesn't
draw.
queen g4 force queen exchanges to draw? I'm not sure I follow. After king g4 and all those moves to advance, black queens on f1, then white queens on f or on h8, and then black can take the knight. Where's the queen exchange in the draw? There's still a pawn existing also. Queen f5 and then skewer. Where how does white get to f5? Are you talking about black getting to f5?
David can't read the screen right now, Erud or Erud.
Oh, 1 second. I got an email. Let's make sure it's not important.
Hi, Mitch. We noticed upon looking on Twitch that you are currently streaming. This is
Nah,
against our work policy, and therefore you will lose 1 day's pay. Expect $5,000 out of your paycheck next month.
I wish I got paid $5,000 a day. That'd be real nice. Now they moved my meeting back 30 minutes, so now I have extra time for the stream.
They must have heard that we're doing great commentating together. We're like I'm A and you're Z. Completely different parts of the spectrum, but we work.
Keep the
I'm
corporal.
not
That's
paid
great.
$5,000 a day. I don't think. Maybe if you factor the fact I don't pay for housing or other things, I just pay for food.
Yeah.
clothes.
Changed my name to Fitch Mabian to throw them off the scent. All right, so we saw King G4. So this is what
Oh, look at
Charlie
Heim.
and chat were debating.
Heim is all Mitch Fabian. I don't see any Charlie Silva exclamation. Oh, but he's a long-term Mitch lover. And I'm the guy that says "Du hast Mitch."
What does Du hast mean?
Du hast. It's a song from a band called Rammstein, which was big in the day. Like Du hast, Du hast mich. Means I hate you. But
Oh.
on screen one day with Jesse Cry, we changed it to Du hast Mitch because he always used to blame you. You know when he was
Oh,
trying
wow. I didn't realize Jesse hated me.
to.
Braden was asking about Knight
I
C3.
don't know. I don't know how to translate German. I think the band sucks, to be actually honest with you. I know how they got big. They did crazy stuff on stage and they spoke German.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, Braden. But if we move the knight away from protecting the A pawn's advance, he could always advance over there as well. Though it is slower, so that's one point to note. And white would be faster to H1, or sorry, H8, which would defend A1. So yeah, that's a good point. Knight C3 might be good here. So Knight C3, F2, Knight.
Look at that. You called it.
Yeah, so F2, Knight D1. He can't promote because then we trade. So A3, H6. Let's see. Then F2, Knight D1. This is this is going to test all of our visualization. So let's see, especially since we can't draw arrows.
All right. Well, start slow. Go slower for the
All right.
the back, meaning me.
So A3,
Uh-huh.
and then H6,
Okay.
and
I gotta
then
look on the other side of the board. Oh, white goes down. Yep.
and then F2 because you can't push A2, forces Knight to D1. So
Okay,
now we've
what-
got the pawns on A3, F2, and H6, and the knight on D1.
Uh-huh.
And then A2.
Hold on. Didn't
Then
you
I-
just say knight to where was the white knight?
The white knight is on D1.
Threatening F2.
Yes, threatening F2.
Okay.
We can't push F1 because then there's the knight E3 check.
Okay.
So I think we push A2. Then and then
Now you
does
got the-
knight
you got
takes
pawn.
F2 check.
Yep.
Then the king can move.
But you got the knight away from the A pawn.
Yeah.
Basically, the poor friggin' horse has
I-
both of his limbs getting pulled in two different directions. It's almost like the knight in the Monty Python, is it? When he got his arms chopped off, it's just like the same thing, but it's a human instead of a knight of a horse. Yeah, poor horse. Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, so knight takes f2 is a check.
But you want to bait it.
Okay, so now the king f3, let's say. So what we want to be able to do is somehow get the. Okay, I was gonna say if the king comes to say f3, it'd be nice if we could get the king onto the diagonal to better.
Support the queen.
Yeah. Okay. No. Here's what White wants to be able to do. Now he goes knight e3, a2, h6. He wants to put the knight onto f6, so it stops at.
You just said 93 though?
Sorry,
90
e4, knight e4. He wants
Okay.
the knight to come to f6 to block that diagonal, because right now after a1 queen, that diagonal is blocked.
Prevents
So here,
h8. Yep.
knight e4.
So you want to block it to win the tempo on blocking the queen so he takes, but then you would exchange and then he'd be up his queen.
Yeah, so I
But
think
how-
that White's a little late. I don't, because now I mean he just can go to a different square to block it. Oh, but if he tries to block on the 8th rank, then the knight can go to g8.
And block again.
And block again.
Yo, and who said
Coco asks, is queen
wasn't
and knight
entertaining?
versus queen a draw or a win? Honestly, I don't know. I think
What happens if he does queen a8, blocking the promotion square, but he has. See, I'm thinking that way he's attacking the knight and defending h8 as well.
yeah. So if queen a8, I think we still have knight to f6 and then try to get to g8.
Oof. That block tactic that you suggested earlier. Yo, this is bonkers. This is like Willy Wonka.
Yeah. So I think that
Ooh, what about g1? Check where the king go.
okay. So queen g1. Yeah, let's go with that. Then let's be careful. King f2 or f7. Sorry.
Yep, no worries. It happens to me all the time. I'm trying to find a way to check the king and get the knight, like force the
Yeah.
king's. You like h8?
Oh, the queen can just go to that square as a possibility. That stops the promotion, but then the queen can't do much from that square, can it?
No, I think you're like actually making it that you're making your king. King can't do it by himself.
Yeah. Because now knight's going to try to go g5 to f7 and then try to force the promotion, but then that's a draw.
Yeah, but who wants a draw here? Nobody, right?
I think that white would be pretty happy to draw after that sequence of moves that we thought black was winning. I'm not sure if g4 was the mistake, king to g4,
Yeah.
or if it was never winning. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's another way to reroute the knight to f7 through d6.
Oh yeah, I forgot this is actually what happened. Like I was thinking you moved the mouse to see it like the way the senseis do it. So Bruce did just go h8. And it looks like Kostia eventually plans on f7 as well, knight f7.
Yeah. So knight f7 would end up drawing because the queen just essentially stops. It just moves off that square, and then I think the best white can do is promote and only have a knight, which is the draw by insufficient material.
Yep. I remember actually it still happens every now and then. I think I won, or they ran out of time, and then it says draw. And I'm like, what the hell is this crap?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is a draw now. I got another email.
Oh, you're a cool guy.
It doesn't matter. We're good.
He doesn't even deny he's cool like I would. He's like, I'm not swearing, Dan. What did I say? HE double hockey sticks is not swearing. No, honestly, if I get an email, it's from a boss, and I don't like to look at my emails after work hours. I have a family, kids, and chess streams, and chess and people, and who knows what else.
Okay, king to g4. Now we're gonna see knight to f7.
I'll say heck next time, Dan, if it makes you happy. I don't
And no
want to.
matter where the queen goes, it's a draw now. Okay, or you can just take it. Interesting, very interesting.
He took it to make a draw that way. It's still a draw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that was intense, but that was quite instructive and really enjoyable to do as well.
Yeah, it was very instructive, and it's very interesting. I think king g4 was the mistake, but I could be wrong. I think so. King g4 allowing for the check, for the knight to be able to fork on e3. So where would the king have been better placed instead of king g4?
What do you mean a mistake?
Oh, he's finding a lot of your mistakes, guys. I don't know what you were doing. He got a lot of mistakes instantly. At least he says it were.
I could be wrong, but king g4 allows for the geometry on the e3 square.
Yeah, but there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing better. Black's sort of playing for a draw.
Oh, we were thinking that black was trying to win here, but we could have been wrong.
Yo, I didn't make any assumptions. Don't throw me under the bus. No, this was actually really fun. This was quite enjoyable also to analyze, and the chat was really into it as well. So what do you guys think, Bruce and Kostia?
Well, at the end there, actually, I did think king g3 was the move I was most concerned about.
Really?
Because what I saw is that I have to go for like a queen and pawn endgame, down a pawn.
King g3.
Yeah, I could have missed something, but that was the only move where
h5
I thought.
here, right?
Yeah. Although to be fair, I missed that David could mix up the move order with the, like I wasn't expecting the line we got in the game. I kind of saw this position in another variation. I thought it should be a draw if the knight is in a good spot.
So what happens here? Knight c3.
Interesting one. On which one?
Oh, sorry. I'll make an analysis board for you.
Yeah, maybe we just analyze this one. I mean, I feel like there's a ton to go over.
Yeah. How do I make it into an analysis?
Super interesting game.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go to analysis board that I think we had shared before. And let's go setup position, PGN.
I had a kid's toy. I just have no purpose to talk any longer. They're unmuted. I'm the least common denominator, so I'm trying to practice kindness and respect and just shut up.
Kostya, do you still have the analysis board from before?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, so here's the position with king g3. When I copied it over, I lost our main line, but whatever, I think we remember it. So anyway, king g3. So I thought knight c3.
Okay. So you push.
It's got this, or oh, sorry. No, it's got to be h5 because that pawn's attacked. h5, f3, knight c3. Yeah. This should be basically the same thing as in the game.
Oh, this is the same. Oh, okay. Here, for some reason, yeah, my problem with this one was you go, I think, f2,
Mm-hmm.
knight e4 check.
Mm-hmm.
Here, takes,
Mm-hmm.
push, and then it's basically the same, right?
Mm-hmm. But also, hang on, right here, there's this move, and I lose.
Oh, wait, how much do you lose?
The game.
King f3. But I understand why you don't want this anymore.
Yeah. There should be... Okay. Now if check king g3 still gets the same thing as in the game. Yeah. Okay. Barely.
Okay. Gotcha. I feel like I saw this line and then like
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, do I really want to hold like knight and pawn against queen? I'm not sure. And I look for other stuff. Right. So for some reason I thought like, yeah, I would just have to push and then go get this endgame. But yeah, that's wrong now. I see.
There's
Yeah,
always
this
some
endgame,
sort of
this endgame, I would be
fork.
thrilled to get. You were right not to go for this one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we were looking at.
Yeah.
But we didn't see that there was another way to do the fork of the pawn and the king.
Knight and queen versus queen is a draw, to answer somebody in chat, unless there's like an immediate winning continuation for the queen and knight. So there are some like endgame studies out there with specific positions where the queen and knight deliver some kind of a combination right away. But on random scattered squares, it's a draw.
Cool.
And
So
and
this
knight and
actually
h pawn
was-
on h7 is also a draw. I didn't know that, but I suspected it.
Yeah. I had something similar in a really old game where I was trying to hold with the knight and pawn against the queen, but the pawn was only on the 6th rank, and black's king was pretty close. And then my coach Var was like, "Yeah, no way, this is gonna work. You need the pawn on h7, and the knight has to be like really well placed." And he's like, "Then you can draw."
Yeah.
This one, I think, objectively, is probably drawn. And I wasn't like, I don't know, I wasn't too worried. If anything, I was actually just kind of thinking like, okay, it'll be good practice to hold this position.
Sam told me this, and I think I trust him pretty well in this. He said that this position here is a theoretical draw, and in practice, black wins over 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Like when actual people play it. He says like it like saying what the theoretical evaluation is nearly pointless. Like that's normally what people want to know, right? Like if you were like talking to like a super GM right now, you'd be like, "Hey, just tell me the evaluation. Like I just want to know what the theoretical endgame is." But Sam says what it is completely pointless. In practice, what it is like you always like mess up eventually because the player playing black doesn't need to do anything specific. They can just make any random move. Then you have to calculate every single possibility for white of like how to keep giving checks, how not to get a counter check played. And you can do that like for one move and then for 2 moves, and like you can't do it for 50 moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there, 100%. I just think it's with the rook pawn, I feel like the defensive side has more practical chances than with any other pawn.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Instead
also told
of-
me there's like one like phase in the game where basically like if like one king is like coming back on ranks in order to set up like counter checks, there's like one specific position where you need to run past it in the other direction with your king.
Huh. Okay. Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like this king's like on like c3 or b3 and it's trying to move up like towards this king so you can block with a check. So you can hide your king like this way if you want, but at some point their king's like approaching you and there's like one specific way to like get past it going in the like and then go back in the other direction with your king to not be on the same rank as it.
Actually, my understanding is that white has to try to keep the king on a4, a5 rather than running up this way.
Yeah. According to what he told me, there's no static defense. You have to keep adjusting your king to stay away from this king in like a weird, I mean, not like they're near each other, but in like a far off geometry way.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like really similar is like the rook and f and h pawns, except that one I think is also kind of difficult for the stronger side. Sometimes you have to find like a really precise win if your opponent allows something. Whereas this one, it's
I think
like,
that one is maybe more accessible to somebody with good technique, and this one is like maybe even more of just a struggle, no matter how good you are.
yeah, I've never heard any players like top players say queen end games are easy.
Yeah.
Like rook end games,
They're
sure. But like queen end games, no.
Yeah. You know, Kostya, I thought maybe there was like a promising option for white before you got into the full-on race, before you traded your d pawn for my knight.
Oh, okay. So here.
Yeah, so on this move, I was thinking maybe e4.
I consider this one just really briefly. Um, oh, I totally missed that knight c3 check, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That was
So the
switched.
point of it is basically to get a scenario like this, and basically you're aware you're going to lose both of these pawns. So from a trying to win perspective, it may initially seem insane, but the idea is you try to deflect this knight with your knight and try to just queen this pawn because it's faster than the other two. And
Oh, let's
this is
switch.
really intense.
I
I
just see
would.
a knight c3, knight e4 next. And
What's that?
I guess knight c3, knight e4 from white.
Yeah. Yeah. And sorry, that's not a move. But if these three pieces were on the 7th rank, then I'm sure this is winning for white.
Yeah.
You can deflect the knight in time while the king's taking a couple pawns. And also, black can't defend by bringing the king back if the knight's on the 7th rank. So even if black brought the king back to e7 with a knight on f7 against pawn and king, that would be losing. So the only hope is sort of like to collect these and get back. And even here, I don't think I've got good chances of coming back. So what I would try to do is like go take pawns.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one I should take first, but something like this. And then you go here, and then it's like knight g4 trying to do this, and then it's like king here taking away that square, and you know the knight can like head back towards f7, but you've got king e6. The knight can try and like check and like come around to the other side of the knight. I don't know for sure if it's dead, but I knew for sure that it requires incredible defense.
Yeah, that was definitely a miss. Yeah, I missed this whole king c4 idea too. I don't know, like, because I was calculating a lot here, I guess, and then I kind of just thought, okay, if knight f6 d5, and then my knight has a d4 square, and then I just kind of stopped there. But now I'm also feeling like I should have just gone passive here, and I felt like
I don't know. What you did felt right to me for what it's worth. Not that I could like calculate it all. It felt right, and the answer might be that line with e4 and knight takes a4.
yeah, that looks really good. Yeah, for sure.
Like black's on like the last drops of oxygen there.
What
Also,
if
instead of king c6, would king d6 be useful to get the white king over to the black pawns faster?
so my issue with this one, I think, was like knight b8, and then if I go for the king side, I figured black always has enough with king b3 for at least a draw.
Okay.
Maybe more. I mean, the knight is really awkward, of course, against the a pawn, so I'm not even sure I make a draw in some cases.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I don't know. Yeah. But let's say I try like king d3, and then if king b3, just next move e4. Just wondering if this was also maybe a less concrete way. Point being, I think if we get this,
I mean, we have to get the king off the edge.
maybe
Might as well trade a pawn.
I don't know. If we trade
Yeah.
and then like a4, let's say, e5. Like I'm just ready to sack on a3. So knight d5.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to play a3 because then it, like, you sack the knight, but you free your king. I'm going to try to go fight with my knight over here. Okay, now I may be running out of things to do. Maybe now I'll play a3. Sorry, I didn't mean to lie.
Okay.
Not my
So yeah,
intention.
this I would feel is really promising. Let's see. Okay, take.
Mm-hmm. Takes. And I'll give a
Yeah.
check.
Yeah, 92.
Actually, hang on.
Here.
1 second. I should probably just bring my king here. Like, that move is trying to be so clever, but... I mean, you want to play king g5 anyway, right? That's your next move, so...
Yeah, pretty much. So let's say here.
Why am I checking you?
Yeah, not really so clear.
Okay, I think it's kind of looking like this. And if king h5, king e5 would be a draw, I'm pretty confident. And if the king goes here, actually I can probably like, can I sack the knight and draw by now? No.
Is the sack the knight and almost. Yeah. Oh no, you don't draw it. Not yet.
But maybe what I can do is this, 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 and this. And just try to draw on the side of the board like that, no?
Wait, let's check this real quick.
You'd have to like try and run far enough away from the H pawn without letting me make a beeline for the G pawn. Like you have to be threatening G4, but I can't run back to G4.
I'm never threatening G4. I can't find a way.
So
That's a nice draw. That's really nice.
is it? Is it just?
I just don't see.
I've got this much
Because
rope.
G4 black is taking and promoting first always. So even if I go
Oh,
king
I can
eight,
always. Okay, then you can't do anything. All right, it's just dead. No wonder you figured it out quickly. I was like, how far can I go this way when the white king goes this way? Okay, so that's the draw. Okay, that's a cool one, right? Because if I just take, then I'm in Zugzwang and looking like I lose, right?
even if it was white's turn, I think white wins.
Oh, because now I don't have this G5 square, right? So I need that space. So knight C7, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I assumed white was winning here, but looks drawn after everything you just showed. That's crazy.
Tricky. Yeah. Okay.
It was good practice, Kostya. Like, we hit a point where suddenly the game got into the horizon of my training. Like, I felt like I went from, like, what am I doing to, like, okay, I'm in my training. So in the in the Averbach book, I'm up to, like, positions with, like, knight and three, or king and three pawns against, like, knight and pawn, or stuff like that, right? So we like hit a point where suddenly I was like, oh, I know exactly like what lines to calculate.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what I don't like about these endgames. It's like they always just devolve into some like crazy mess,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you never know exactly.
Like, for example, this position here with like F3 here, F2. Sorry, no. In the actual game, what was our line? In the game was king G4, H5, F3, knight here. I saw it coming. F2, knight here, I saw it coming. And then A3, check. And I think king H4 is the only move, right? Like, that whole idea I saw in like 2 seconds in this position here. You know, I spent like 6 minutes checking other moves like king G3, king E3, king E4 and stuff. But with the like training from the book, like I could, first of all, I could predict like the knight forks. Often, like before, I wouldn't even see like coming what my opponent's doing. You don't know how bad it used to be for me, Kostya. Like my opponent would play like knight c3, and I'd be like, why are they doing that? You know, like, or sorry, h5 here, knight c3. I'm like, why are they doing that? I'm just queening, you know, like knight d1. Oh shoot! Like I wouldn't see any of it coming, and now like, you know, the idea of like leaving the pawn hanging with check and like knowing what square to put the king on immediately and knowing that every other move is going to like fail. Like here fails to this check and here, right? Like it's just instantaneous now.
I mean, not always, but probably that. Like, because even if I get the knight to a1, sometimes like that's not clear either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm too fast there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a tough phase for me in the middle, but we reached this part and I was like, I can feel that I've actually done something.
Can I ask another question? On move 38, we were talking about the king g4 and king g3. What about king e3? Is there anything with that getting closer to the knight, or?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have to consider trying to box out the knight. Often is better than stepping away from it.
Almost
So
still have knight c3, knight d1. So I think I was just
on any knight c3. Is there king d3 at that point?
well, I would push first. I would wait for black to commit to f3. And
so you go king e3, h5, f3, and then knight c3.
yeah, now knight c3.
Okay. What about king d3 there?
there's by the way, Mitch, I can tell you before calculating it, there's not going to be anything that works here.
Okay.
Like this is maybe possible too now. Well, it's a little risky, I suppose. Hang on.
Maybe knight d1.
Sure, knight d1.
Oh, then a3.
h6, a2. Yeah, that doesn't work. Let me see. Knight there, a3. Knight there, a3. Feels like we have to do this. And then not lose this somehow.
Yeah, it looks scary, but maybe. Yeah, it looks.
I guess the difference here is that the knight's defended, so now it's a knight versus pawn with the queens.
Yeah, I mean, unless this queen can somehow like get to a square where it like checks its way to here, in which case we're in trouble all over again, right? We should go here probably so that we're not trying to check on the light squares that the knight's covering. And also being on dark squares, I guess we're more likely to fork it. Okay, so here. Shoot. King to these squares loses. King to these squares loses. King to this square loses. And here there's this. Shoot.
Yeah, this looks pretty.
Now these squares lose.
This is king
This square
e6.
loses. So it's here, here. 6, check. Now there's check here and king here. It's the only try. Check. Can't come here because of this.
There's queen b3 check. Oh, but now knight can block. Okay. This one, just this one.
Dang! What on earth?
3.
Maybe I'm wrong, Mitch.
Let's check it.
Okay, so king e3. King e3, you played h5. Okay, hang on. King e3. Okay, so here would still be f3, I guess. So that if h5, we transpose with king d3. Huh.
Yeah, it looks very tough. I mean, they're no, it doesn't seem promising. Yeah, I don't really.
Okay, king e3. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I totally flubbed this thing.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a flub or not. I was just trying to think of ways to not get the forks. But
Yeah.
I still don't even know how to win that endgame after that at all. That you have a lot more ideas from there, but
Ouch.
I don't know. Is it winning that position you were showing, or is it still
Which
drawing?
one?
Once you got the queen to like a7 and b6 and whatnot, was that?
Oh, and won the knight?
Oh,
I mean,
you ended up winning the night.
Yeah.
I think I missed that part.
It's
Okay.
theoretically drawing, but I mean, it's certainly like it would be good for black to be able to calculate to get to
Yeah.
that position, and then they've got a good chance of winning.
Yeah, if that works, then this is by far the best line.
Oh, man.
To be fair, when we were commentating, I was saying king g3. I didn't even think of e3. It was just when you guys were talking about all the forks that I missed. It's tough. This
Man.
whole end game was. I was surprised by so many of the knight moves.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I mean, I felt like I was playing pretty ambitiously.
Yeah, Charlie, how many times did I declare that white was winning?
102 times. The only question I had, and I apologize if it's a waste of time, but Mitch, remember that thing you deemed a mistake where after it was in the center where King got to get the knight after?
Yeah, after knight f6 and then h5 and then knight takes d5. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I believe so. I didn't visualize the squares you just said out loud, but it probably is.
Mm-hmm.
Could one of the senseis share their input on that? Is that okay, or
It was just a huge blunder.
okay?
I forgot about knight d5.
Right away.
I forgot about knight d5, even though I'd seen it in like many other positions.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, critical line here was to give this check
Mm-hmm.
and come in. And then, honestly, I was very unclear about this evaluation. I don't even know if I'm better.
Yeah.
Because black's a pawn is so strong, and knights are really active. King is active.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we talked a bit about this potential position here, and I didn't know how to evaluate it. I thought that white had chances, but that a pawn is hard to stop for sure.
Yeah, in a tournament game, I'm not sure I would have allowed this. I feel like I would be more likely to just repeat earlier. But I just want to see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Knight A1's threatened, so I have to play Knight B2. Here. Probably push.
I mean, you can test me again with Knight C4 if you want. Or are you worried I'm gonna go like King
C1, and you're getting closer to the pawn. I've got no reason to send you that way, I think.
So A4. Yeah, honestly, it's very scary. Well, let's say E4. Take. This is like the moment, like, okay, you want to take, or do you feel lucky? just push.
I mean, there's another move Black could play here, King C4, which also, to me, asks the question, like, why would White be trying to win here?
Oh, but then here there's Knight E3 maybe, so you lose
Oh,
time.
this Knight to E3. Oh, okay. Back to A3.
Yeah, E3.
Now I'm back to not seeing where the knights are going to pop up.
Well, let's just say E5 maybe feels like most aggressive.
Have we considered Knight D4, King C4, though?
Oh, I have no idea. Yep. To take.
Oh, no, you could play E6 here, right, is what I'm
maybe
expecting.
push,
Sorry.
right? Yeah.
E6.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, this endgame was probably the most complicated thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, folks, your tournament is starting in 4 minutes, I think.
Oh, yeah. So, guys, yeah, the tournament's starting. If you want to join, hopefully you're already a member of the chess.com club. And, yeah, you can play Endgame tournament.
And when you guys at
Max
Max
went for the verified group, but I don't think we have a verified section for this one, right?
Right. We've got 3 sections by rating.
Yeah,
I didn't know if there would be enough people.
Just, regular.
Sorry, what's that?
Yeah, this is just a regular event, open to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll let you in for like this rapid. We'll have a verified section.
Yeah.
It'll do it automatically, BGQ. Cartier with a joke saying he's in a hot tub and cannot play.
Sometimes I watch the stream from my tub, but it's hard to chat because my hands are wet.
I thought you were going to say sometimes you watch hot tub streams. I was going to see it.
Only hot tub stream I watched was Chess Brock because I was like, wow, are they really doing this? And like, yeah, they did it.
They really did?
Yeah, they had a hot tub stream.
Wow.
Like fun. I watched it like, I don't know, 2 seconds. Well, I guess we should get out of here.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for having us on. It was lots of fun. Very educational.
Yeah, it was awesome with Mitch. I was the A, Mitch was the Z. 2 different parts of the spectrum, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I must say. Chat, how did you like it? Did Mitch and I do good together? No comment. They're not saying anything.
They're
Or
going
the
to say
delay.
something.
Yeah, you got to give him a
They
second.
don't care. They just want hot tub streams. It's all. Scotty got him on a hot tea rampage. Oh, and then oh Dan, you did great, Mitch.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, Kostya, thanks for for coming on and playing with me. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was fun. I'll have to go analyze this game.
Yeah, I would analyze it a lot longer if we didn't have a viewer tournament coming up.
Absolutely.
What you guys are going to stay on and commentate it?
Yeah, I'll stay on and commentate the tournament unless Kostya wants to bump me, which would be fine.
No fighting over it, guys. No fighting over it.
Gotta get some food. But yeah, good luck, everyone. Endgame tournament will be starting shortly.
All right.
I guess we'll get out of here.
All right. Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck in the tournament. Now it's your turn.
Tournament. You just said you just told me I have to play it indirectly.
You don't have to. I'm just in case that's what you're doing. Good luck.
I should probably, but I'm afraid.
Afraid of what?
I'm afraid. First I was afraid, and now I'm petrified.
Okay. It's great to name your fears. Okay, in the official very serious poll where I didn't put any joke answers, you got a 92% approval rating.
One person
your
didn't like
performance.
us.
Yeah.
was
That's
Scotty.
pretty good. That's pretty good, guys.
Yeah, you guys can watch the VOD after if you really wanted to, and you could see.
Yeah. All right.
All right, thanks, guys.
I'm going to close down the Zoom and switch scenes.
Great.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, folks. Let's get the title right here. It's time to join. If you haven't joined yet, !play, and you can join. I'm not pressuring anybody. It's just if you want to play, I have to give that information for those who do want to play. So it's no pressure, but the tournament is starting. Very, very soon. It's 10 minutes plus 5-second increment, and you have the same endgame position every round, sort of alternating, playing the same position with white or black. You won't have the position we had. You'll have a different position you haven't seen yet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my full screen board because there's probably going to be a lot of games going. So let's go there and take off that. All right, so here it is. I've got a big board ready now. You're at work, cool. All right, so we've got 3 sections by rating, rapid rating, 1600 plus, 1200 to 1600, and under 1200. Yeah. Free to play, free to watch. 4 rounds. It should take us less than 2 hours and more than an hour and 20 minutes. So maybe an hour and 40 you could expect for all 4 rounds, although you're also able to withdraw at any point and play whatever. Play the first 2 rounds if you like, and there's a little X button for withdrawing. Can you pay to play if you want to? I suppose, Dasser, you could try and find a way to send us money. Yeah, we do need more under 1200s. You just registered for Vegas. Nice, Nordovik. I have officially given up on my dream of going to play in Vegas. I'm so bummed about it. So bummed. Here are the links, folks. Come on in. My daughter's school is off that week, also plays chess, and I searched and searched for a camp for her and couldn't find one, so instead I'm going to run a camp for her and her classmates. Which will be like awesome and whatever, but when else was I going to go like play in like a tournament and see everybody from the dojo? I think it's called the National Open. Probably. That's probably right. All right, let's see. Have games started? No. Still a few seconds left. I know, Alpha Canis, I know. Those classes sound very effective, BG Cube. Run a tournament at my house. Actually, I was thinking of doing that, Scotty. Okay, so basically we just need a couple more under 1200 players. The tournament's lots of fun under 1200 players. Your opponents will all be under 1200 as well. You just move back and forth with a couple minor pieces on the board, you know. It would not be awkward, Alpha Canis, but you don't need our signatures. What would you do with our signature? Might make more sense to like take a picture of us all playing chess together or something. You will get $0 for for our signature. All right. So our first games are in progress, so we can see the position for the first time here, folks. It is knight and bishop versus bishop and bishop. So there it is. Game starting. Game 1, round 1 for the highest rated section right now. Other sections will be starting soon, so be ready. Chesterfish is back. Oh, I've missed you, little fishy. Yes. I'm not sure, working class heroes. I'm not sure if you have to make the first move within 1 minute or not in the tournament. I think you don't have to. Oh yeah, Chess Latte is up in the top section here, huh? Facing Douglas, a dangerous, dangerous player. Great experience there. Under 1200s need one more player. Just one. I have Wrath of Gods. I loved it. In Europe, they play 1 game per day. In the US, they play 2 games per day. 1 game per day is better, right? Here are the links, Gorilla. You just click on a link and you go in and play. All right, so in this position here, Pictus has chosen to set up a light square blockade. And now moving the knight from a bad square towards probably a good square on c4, or maybe bishop c4 and knight d3. That would be even better. You know, I was thinking that black should maybe attack the knight to force the knight to go here. Because now with the move in the game from black, white could maybe put the knight on d3, which is even much stronger square. Yeah. Bishop c4 looks very nice here. Okay, white's trying something else. So he's not yet really caring or worrying about what square the knight goes to. Hang on. Now they're just not playing very carefully. I mean, takes, here attacks the pawn and nobody can defend it. So white could get straight into opposite colored bishops and get rid of black's bishop pair and get, an equal position there. Wow. Okay, white's going for you've got a certain strategy in mind. People aren't always flexibly looking at all their different options, right? But white's got an idea in mind to just do full board blockade as their plan to fight the bishop pair. So a blockading move is played. I would still love to see the knight on d3, but I guess now that this pawn is just not even pressured, it's not that particularly amazing to put the knight on d3 here. You have to be very fit to play 2 games a day, many days in a row, yeah. Got to be in really good shape, Wraths. Not sure what the move a4 is about, but in general, with pawn majorities, you always want this pawn, the b pawn, the one that is the candidate pass pawn, to stay in front of this pawn. Because when you play like this, it's easy for one pawn to freeze too. You don't want that when you have a majority. So self-blockading your own majority like this with the b pawn behind is not helpful for white. It also makes it easier for the black king, for the black king to eventually come attack this pawn from b4. Okay, rearrange the pieces to the squares I like. That part looks good. Next tournament should have started, so let me check out the game. Oh, all the sections have started. All right, so let's check out some more games here, or at least open them up so we've got our choices, what to go with. I think we'll just keep following. Oh great, we got the 6th player for the under 1200. That's very nice. And that's just going to be a cute little intimate 6-player 3-round affair. Very nice. I'm going to stick with this game for a bit, and then we can always bounce around to some other games throughout. But I do like to have a little focus. So what possible plans are there in this position? I think black has the advantage. So when I ask what plans are there, I really just mean from black's perspective at the moment. Piano Guy, it's just based on your chess.com rapid rating. So you have to click on the right section based on your rating, whether it's, whether it's under 1200 or from 1200 to 1600 or over 1600. The tournaments are set to just let people in based on that. And, yeah, you'll get a round 1 bye because people are playing round 1 right now, but you'll be able to play round 2 whenever these games finish. If you're 1200 exactly, I think you go in the 1200 to 1599 section. And the other section is technically a 0 to 1199 section. I've only got 1 month and 1 week left. Piano Guy, 1 month and 1 week left. If you're rated in the negatives, you would be in the under 1200 section. Okay, we've got a first finished game, so let's have a quick look at what that looked like. So that was this game here. It started with white advancing like this and getting this pawn structure frozen by that pawn completely, right? That's how it started. Then d4, making the passed pawn right away. Oh, and opening the bishop's attack on b3, right? Which a2 weakened a little bit. Knight to b5. Bishop takes b3, knight takes, bishop takes, and white just resigned without playing it out. But it's definitely going to be a very, very tough position for white to face this passed a pawn with the bishop pair for black. This might be technically winning with best play. So I think what we saw is this a4 move. We saw some of its downsides. It shouldn't necessarily, like, I'm not saying it necessarily has to lose in like 4 moves or anything like that. This is an endgame. It should take 40, 50 moves, right? But definitely we saw it get the pawns frozen and then like attacked very quickly. So 1 strike for a4. That's nice. Well, it's going to be a pretty quick tournament, so it should work reasonably for you. It's probably like a 1.5 hour tournament. Also, you can always like pop out if you have to. All right, so knight d3, bishop a3, g4. What plans are there for black? I think white's just trying to put the pawns like this and defend the whole chain. What plan could there be for black to win? So to win, black's gonna have to break white's blockade. That means they need to get the king through this square somehow, or get control of these light squares. Very, very hard to do. Hard to imagine how black breaks through. I mean, the only place I see to really fight for opening up the board is h5, h3, hg, hg, g6, right? And then, well, white needs to always keep finding something to move, right? We can get the bishop like sort of into the game like this. The question is, will this, will this do anything? White should still be able to draw this, right? By just defending the b pawn with the bishop and the d pawn with the king. So it may just already be a draw. I mean, I don't really see a plan for black. Does anybody else see it? After g6, you're looking at g5. For white, Wrath of Gods, I would say at first blush that sounds insane to me, because white's goal is just to like hold a blockade, not to explode the game. White's just trying to get a draw here, so I'm not looking at moves like b4 or g5 or anything. I'm just trying to hold. You're intending to go f6, f7, and b4 to shut down this bishop. I mean, g5 for black, white can just leave it there, right? And then it's a draw. White's using a lot of time here. Last time we saw Cheslotti in action, he was playing really fast. Let's maybe check out one other game, huh? Oh, another game was decided. Let's have a look at it. Oh, this would have been similar to the game we just saw, right? This would have been a like a blockaded kind of game. Oh, except this move, white was always down a pawn before it was blockaded. White can never come win this bishop because this is keeping the king and knight away. But how to win, I guess it's here and takes. I don't know why this was played. This move looks very, very nice here. Now it gets played, but now it's a move too late. What? Oh no! Just take the other one. Don't get tricked away from this. Wow. Now, I mean, those moves were blunders to get here, but this position that results is very interesting. Is the knight going to lose to the 2 pawns in this position? Or, I mean, should the knight lose for the 2 pawns here? God, this white has so little space. It feels like it's probably losing for white. Yeah. The knight can't even, like, do anything. Yeah. But right here, I mean, black could just win the b3 pawn. Instead, they don't. Then white defends b3. Here, black could take the pawn, right? And get the position in the game that they ended up winning. But instead of doing that, black now moved the bishop away. Now they don't get the b pawn. Now here, white can just take on a2 and win the game. But now white did this, and the second time around, black plays here. Now, based on what we've just seen, I wonder if it wouldn't be a little bit better to keep the bishop. But probably nothing's going to save white now, actually. This knight is just too bad in the 2 black pawns. Huh. Okay. Back to our game. Has anything been unblockaded? Nope. All still blockaded. Yeah, honestly, those moves were, like, crazy for that level, Daster. I mean, just like every single move was just like hanging a piece, and not to like some complicated tactic, just to like, you know, it's just like choosing the wrong piece to capture. Your king's attacking 2 bishops, just, I mean, just like in their faces, the pieces. It did look like a game. I mean, I don't even want to say a game between 600s. If it was a game between 600s, I would have been criticizing the 600s for that one. Tough, but true. Tough, but true. Okay. Here's a different style of game for us. Black's major problem here is that the king has stayed on h8 already for a dozen moves. That's a real concern. The white king is relatively close to this pawn, and clearly it's been in the fight, because it also started on this side of the board. So white's moved the king a lot of times this game. Here maybe a good option for white was king d3. Like losing a pawn, but taking this pawn off the board. That is sure as a draw for white. I don't know if white was playing for like a draw or a win at this point. The king keeps avoiding going to this square because of check winning the pawn. That explains why the king went all the way to this slightly odd square. Now here, retreating the knight. I wonder if a6 wasn't a better option for white, because the knight's stopping bishop c5. I guess on a6, white feared bishop d5. a7. You know, f5. Something like that. But look at this idea, folks! This position's winning for white. You just move the knight out of the way to gain control over a8. Bishop takes f3. Game over. Back rank mate even. Chess Latte got the draw against Douglas in the last position that we saw, basically. Just h6 was played bishop d5, and they agreed to a draw. It was completely locked up. Wait, where's the other game I was watching? This one. Okay. So this looks like a winning idea for white. At this point here, a6, a7 looks so dangerous. I don't see how black defends it. And a6 here. I know with f5 I walked into this knight g5 trick, but what move is black supposed to play in this position that doesn't lose to this knight just moving anywhere? Right? Whatever black does, white moves the knight to either d2 or g5. And then if the bishop takes, white plays f3. That's it. The position's just done. Oh, this move, so that when the knight takes, you can go here. Yeah, that keeps the game going a little bit, but you can see white's winning with knight d7, b6 at will here, right? They just win whenever they want to. The king's covering the d pawn. White's just going to be up a knight in this endgame. It's completely lost as well. So I think this was just a winning move for Aaron right here. There's a save after knight g5? What? Oh, it's to play the bishop c5 when the bishop's hanging or something? No, wait. Let me see. a7 here. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? f5, knight g5. What would be the save here? Bishop here? Bishop c5? Yeah, but now white's up a piece, right? So they just win the game easy as they like. Every single different move here is winning. Okay, let's see the game. So in the game, the knight retreated. Now the black bishop came to c5, and on knight back to e4, it went and saved itself. White threatens knight c8 here. Black goes and defends it with the bishop. White king moves up. Bishop d5 would win a pawn here. It might be better to just keep bringing the king. All right, white's looking at something with bishop or knight c8, but it doesn't look decisive. So I think black can keep bringing the king. Same position, Chester. You'll get it with white and with black. You get to practice both sides of it. And also, welcome back, Chester. Oh, white's just going for a draw? Why not try to win, white? What? I mean, in this very position where white played bishop b7, a simple alternative is bishop d5, and you just take a pawn from the opponent. You've still got a strong passed pawn out there. Should be very, very hard for black to draw. Very, very tough position for black. Now it's just a very, very dead draw position, I think. Nothing really to do. Well, I mean, I exaggerate. Like, when black played f6 and then h6, actually, there's this idea of bringing the king here to try and win. There's probably still stuff to do, but I get the feeling like white doesn't even want to win. Like, not like they don't want to win, but like they're looking at the position just thinking it's a draw, and they're just playing out the last moves before agreeing to a draw. I don't think they realize that they could try to win. Yeah, you can cover this black pawn with your bishop and then use the king to go attack. Yeah, they were just planning to agree to a draw. All right. We've still got a game going here with a powerful center for black. An offer of this bishop trade. Oh, wait, either player could accept the bishop trade offer. And black could even trade into a pure king and pawn ending here, right? Bishop takes, pawn takes, king e4, king d2, king d4, and black wins. But I don't know if black realizes that. Well, I mean, black's calculating it. 2 minutes and 20 seconds and makes the right decision. Yes! Yes! That's right. The next move should be planned now after 2 minutes on the other move. No! No! How is it a good move to not go into a winning king and pawn ending? What's wrong with it is that he didn't go into a winning king and pawn ending. Now he's in an opposite colored bishop ending instead of a winning king and pawn ending. A winning king and pawn ending is like a winning king and queen against king. It's just over. If you see the win, it's over. There's nothing you can get wrong anymore. No tricks. No, nothing. No, this is now an opposite colored bishop ending with 2 extra pawns that black can easily mess up. Easily mess up. Okay, now it's a king and pawn ending he can't mess up. Yay! White, by the way, you should not have taken on b4. You've got to try your luck with opposite colored bishops in any position like this every time. He can't mess up, I say, PB. He can't mess up. I'm chalking this up for Falk. He's got 1 win right here. So I will go open up some other games because other sections have just entered round 2. The top section had a couple draws, and a lot of people withdrawing after 1 loss. That's bizarre. Were you planning to play 1 game, or is it just like if you lose, you don't want to play chess? Here's the fault game. Queening this pawn. Has anyone blundered a piece? Yes, Wang on, Wang off. We watched 1 game where both players blundered a piece back and forth like 3 times, every single move. All right, good win for Falk. That means round 2. That means round 2 is on for the 1200 1600 group. Good luck, everybody. Wang on, Wang off. I guessed it, Wango. You had a fantastic joke, Daster. I thought you had many. All right, let's check out a game from the under 1200 section this round because I don't think we saw many of them last round. So let's check out Alpha Canis against Scotty. This pawn is a very, very strong pass pawn right now. Look how many of the squares are already covered that it needs to go through. There's only 1 square left that black doesn't control, and it's a dark square. That's very good news for black. If it's a light square, then white can blockade it, often with these pieces. But here it looks like Scott's probably already winning. Alpha Canis is having a think about it, so let's just see how it got here, okay? Bishop here on the first move. Planning to come around behind those pawns. Oh, and white counterattack d5, which doesn't work. They needed to play a move like a4 here. Wow, this is a strong idea from Scott, actually, because remember that white doesn't want their pawns like this, right? They don't want their pawns like this, you know, frozen by the dark square control and this pawn behind, and they're still, you know, bishop c2 at some point. So that was a very nice idea by Scott. Actually, this bishop b1 real quick. But Alpha Canis missed this e4 tactic, hits the bishop before it can take d5. You have to save the bishop, then lose the a2 pawn. No, Scott playing precisely does not take on a2, but first tries to put the knight in worse position. Then takes, oh my goodness. And now, and bishop b4 is good. Bishop b2, knight d1. Okay, so bishop b4 is probably best. And then just a5. Wow. Really strong play from Scott this game here today. This endgame is starting off really well. Yeah, Jones, we don't want to trade into opposite colored bishops because then this pawn can get blockaded. If it were black's move, they would just go a4, a3, a2, a1 next. There's nothing stopping them at the moment. So they're going to ignore everything else, right? And push the a pawn. Can we get the bear? What do you mean, Wrath of Gods? What do you need? Yep. I saw you say never mind. You were correct about it. I just thought you'd brought up a point that would be useful for everybody else. Oh, you want to bring SM Pooh Bear up into the 1600 plus section? Well, I mean, Scott's only a couple games away from the 1200 to 1600 section. Let's just say he's got to win an under 1200 section first before we can start talking about actually playing in the 1200 to 1600 section. And then he's got to do well in the 1200 to 1600 before we can start talking about the 1600 plus, right? It's great that he's playing a really good game here, but I mean, we don't need to get like carried away and send him up like 800 points off of one game. You can, Wango, yeah. There are the links. Just click on the correct section for you based on your current rapid rating, and you can play rounds 3 and 4. There's 2 games left. Okay, so now Scott's thinking about a4 or bishop c3 attacking the knight. I think it's correct to just keep pushing the pawn. I don't think anything better for black can happen than pushing the pawn. Like on this move, I think white has a very slick defense with bishop d1. And now if you take here, it's like basically a draw suddenly. And if you take here, knight here, and then your bishop just sort of gets tempoed. And it doesn't help black. So in this position, the best thing to do would be to just push. Scott's in control today. He's like zoned in on this game. Hey, Graham. What? 17 months? That's not possible. That's not possible. This didn't even exist 17 months ago. Did it? We had our 1-year anniversary 2 months ago, right? I think Chess Dojo's been around for either 14 to 15 months. That's like a Twitch channel. Do you go back in time and join for 2 extra months? Oh. I was in a standing up coma in this room for half a year and I just like came back. Maybe you were somehow like a Kostya sub and it transferred over or something. Did Kostya have like a channel and get rid of it in order to make this channel? Like, did he change the name on it? But he still has a Hello Kostya Twitch ID. Huh. Maybe that's possible. Yar. Bishop c4. Good defense. That's the move I was thinking of for white here. Best try. Here's what I was thinking for black. This knight can't blockade at a2, right? Not in time. So the pawn just goes through. But what's nice about this is it leaves like a trap for black, right? If black plays a3, you can take, and then cover it. Okay, but no such thing. Scott just trades and plays a3. Man. All right, we're going to chalk this one up for Scotty and go look at some other game. Let's see, this game ended already in the same section. Let's see what happens. So black tries to take over the center with pawns. White tries to fight out for space, and black trades, which is going to be a small mistake from black here because you'd rather let white take and recapture, because right now you're not wanting to let this king come into the center. Oh, and black was aware g5 to keep the king out of here is really smart and opens the way for this king to come into the center very fast, actually, on the diagonal. Knight comes out. Yeah, I mean, still the pawn would have kept these pieces at bay a little bit more. Bishop back. Oh yeah, the bishop was attacked. Good point. Oh! Agony. All right. People are taking prediction bets on Q-Bird versus Dubious Savant. And boy, they do have a weird position here, don't they? Somehow black's got 3 pawns in the center and white's got majorities on both sides. Very weird. Thanks, Wango. Some of these people are just really good. I don't really know how to explain how they get so good, but they are. This move looks like it's more or less winning for Dubious Savant. Because this is the last square that black needs to gain control of to queen this pawn, and they have bishop b4 coming. So I guess knight would probably go to d3 to cover b4, and then I think the move e4 is going to win for black. We'll see, but that's kind of what I'm at as far as like calculating this position, is like here to cover this, here. Now the knight can't cover this anymore. It goes somewhere, right? And then check, here, check, that sort of a thing. So it's kind of what I'm seeing here as white's thinking about it. Okay, knight e4 gets played instead. Now I'm thinking bishop b4. Which would threaten e2, e1. If you just play e2 first and try and do it all with checks, white has this move available. Black can still win, but doesn't need to. Okay, e2 was played. King came up, bishop here, and that's GG. White didn't even set up knight d2. Right. So someone's pointing out here, here. So that if e2, you can take it, right? Then probably e4. Takes. Huh. That's not totally easy. Oh, game over. Okay, so that one ends, and let's check out another game. Working Class Hero against Ludmir's. We've got same colored bishops. Ooh, white's got this one. White's got this one. The h-pawn's a little bit of counterplay, but white's just too strong with these duo pawns together. This bishop can clean up that pawn without black getting any counterplay against these two pawns. So white's going to be able to like clean up the counterplay and then go back to advancing these pawns, which will be a win for white. How's this game going? This is looking a little bit like that first game. I mean, in style, it's a little bit like that first game between Chess Latte and Douglas, right? That got all locked up. Once white plays this move, it feels like kind of a locked up game. However, I noticed that white had a chance to take, and win a pawn, right? Now, Can you win off of this extra pawn? Maybe not. Maybe you don't even have an advantage for white. But it was something to consider. Might have been good. Okay. Instead, we're getting this king sent to like a weird square. White's grabbing space. King's heading back here. Maybe white will still have some knight move to try and win this pawn, right? Either knight b4 or like a knight f6 kind of move could be cool. Okay, king h6 played by black, right? And so here it's like knight f6 and knight b4 that I'm looking at. Okay, white goes for knight b4, grabs that pawn, then takes on f7. Yeah, compared to the position before, the center's all blockaded, which keeps black from getting as much counterplay, but also means a lot of work for white to try and win it. But the idea is that if the king could come to c4, white would win, and this king's way over here. If black checks, you block with the bishop. So you're going to walk the king towards this way. And then you just have to get your king through that square. Black has some means to try and resist that. Oh no, they lose. Nice! Okay, I see a win for white here. It's very, very instructive. Basically, what it looks like is something like, I'll just show you guys a few moves to give you a feeling. Like it goes like here, 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 here. Oh no, the black king got there in time. The maneuver that could win is you threaten bishop d5 at some point to come here. Because anytime you do this and the bishop comes back and you go this way to free the square for your king, the bishop switches diagonals, right? Which is super annoying. So what you have to do is you have to find somewhere where you can like come like this, right? And then play this move. But black has this now. So in this position here, black to move, king g7 is the only move that could get the black king to d6 in time to stop that winning idea. Now that said, white might still have a winning move with bishop g8 at some point in those lines, right? Just because of these pawns being on light squares. So we'll see. I mean, there are definitely other ways white could try to win this position. Another way is f4. So there's a lot of things white can do to try to win this game. If I played bishop c4, maybe it saves the tempo to go this way. So that black has to spend a move checking you. You block. Then they come back, right? And then f4 is probably really good for white. I know it's not like this move here. But hang on, let's just check the tempi on this. Here, threatening king c4. Bishop here, here, here. Yeah, this is the really simple way. You see, folks? No way for black to stop that. So I wasted one tempo playing bishop c4 instead of bishop d5. And Piano Guy made the same mistake as me the first time I played through this. Now when the king comes here, this king's getting to d6 in time. Now white should still be able to win with f4. If this pawn ever takes, then this pawn will be lost to white's king very easily. And if it doesn't take, then the king's sort of stuck to defending it, right? So you put the pawn here, put the king here, and then go for moving the bishop. To me, like the easiest way to win this position now is put the pawn on f4. Now I'm reading the chat, yeah. Yeah, f4 is winning in general in those positions, Wango. Exactly. That's the move that white needs to finish this stuff. Back into my coma. I just ignored the chat for a long time to explain the endgame and then check chat again for a moment. Oh! Piano Guy's on a mission. Anybody see Piano Guy's mission? You got to play another game then, Scotty. That last game was fantastic. That's right, Carrot Bra and Wango. He said it's straight here to play a3. That's enough to win as well. Probably. Probably. As black, you want to try h6, g5, and then bishop h3, g2 while white's doing this. See if you can trade off as many pawns as possible on the king side. Let me just click on some other positions. You've got Douglas winning against Chester with a pawn breakthrough here. Look at it, went like b6. Takes. And he's up a piece. Chess latte with white again against Aaron. And it looks like he's lost his knight and will lose this game eventually. Chesterfish just resigned. Here, Max against Steve Nash. Steve Nash is up a pawn with very good chances of winning this endgame eventually, but maybe 50-50, draw or win. Okay, time for a3. No, the king comes back, decides against it. After all that. F4 is still a good-looking move. But there's one trick. After bishop g2, you don't want to play king d3 check. After bishop g2, you want to play bishop d5. All right. Take care, Oso. See you next time. I suppose since black traded, white also has the extra option now of e5, which looks decent. Yeah. All right, in progress. Let's check out the under 1200 section. Open up a couple more games there. So in first place with 2 out of 2 are Zintire and Pooh Bear. So these guys are in the running to win this whole tournament. And the game starting with the white knight getting active. Scott defends this pawn. White goes a3. Now white's going for b4, and there's calculations here. I think white's playing this well enough. Controlling the squares, it's not going to be so easy for Scotty here to come up with this. But let's stick with our main endgame here for another couple moves because it's so interesting. The same colored bishop, and we can always get back to those games there. Yeah, so I think e5 looks pretty good. Oh god, Steve Nash has 1 second. Don't flag! Whew! Made a move with 1 second left in this endgame. Holy mother of this position. This is too exciting. Now what's he going to do? Bring the king around to g4? It seemed like nice to flank the white king from this side and try and push him in. Okay, king d3. So now this move is very, very bad for white. This is like the key mistake not to make, is allowing this check and then taking on c4. With the bishop on any other square, it wouldn't be a big deal. You could go here, you know, get checked, just step back, it's okay. But here it's a big deal. Black doesn't try it. I can recommend this move here, bishop g8. Any bishop move would make me happy, I think. Whoa. Okay, I mean, it does also make a passed pawn, and a passed pawn that's a little bit further away from the opponent's king, but... But, I mean, normally having these 2 pawns here, you would consider these to be weaknesses for the opponent, so you wouldn't, like, trade them off. You play a move like e5, taking away squares from the king, and then you've got the idea of bishop g8, h6, bishop f7, attacking this pawn, and trying to push the e-pawn. Seems like it should be winning for white there, but okay, f5 gets played. They make a trade. Black's down to 10 seconds. White's got 19. So they are down to the last little resources they have in this position here. That pawn is almost home. King d6 is the last piece that can stop it here. Now bishop f1 check wouldn't work. King d6, that's the best move. And now king d4 for white is good. There's nothing wrong with f7, but this is classy. Keeping the pawn here where the bishop and pawn keep the black king away from it. And white can take their time. Go collect that. Piano guy's got it! Whew, after quite a battle. Yipes. Finally, the white king gets out. It's been stuck at the bottom of the board all game on like the 2nd rank. Terribly placed. Finally, it gets free. Eats 2 weak black pawns, and the game is over. Piano guy gains 60 rating points on what must be a very, very provisional rating at the moment. I guess chess.com makes your rating re-provisional if you don't play for long enough, even if you've played a lot of games long before. So now let's put up Zintire versus Pooh Bear, and let's also start opening up games from round 3 from other sections. So a3, bishop d7 was played, b4 here, and now a5 to keep white from playing a5. So white's going to get a passed pawn here. It's going to be reasonably blockaded on a dark square for the moment. And we're going to be waiting to see which player brings their king in next. All right, so let me go to some other tournaments. In progress, the 1600 plus round 3, Dubious Savant. Oh, they're just getting started. It's like 1 second into their games. And in progress, the 1200 to 1600 section will also just be a couple seconds into the game. Great. These pawns getting double attacked. Seems like it only leaves bishop c5 to play, but black spends a moment double checking it because they may not have planned it when they went for d4. So they just make sure that this is right, that there's no problem here. A6. Expect the knight to go to c7 since it doesn't really have anywhere else to go. And I wanted to watch this Zintire top board for the under 1200. The under 1200s, because they only had 6 players, only have a 3-round tournament, not a 4-round tournament. So they are in their last round. And this game will determine who wins the tournament. So knight f7 to e5 is threatened while a4 is left hanging. If black takes, white will take and be up a pawn with all pawns on the same side of the board. If black defends with king g8 or f6, then white will play knight b7. There will be no time for bishop a4 because there's a bishop hanging. The bishop will move and the a pawn will start running. And Scott says he can't handle that a pawn and sacrifices a pawn to play for the draw. Which may be possible, but should be torturous. Should be a long torture for Scotty. All right. I've been standing for 3 hours, so let's switch to seated. and look away from the board for a minute, from the computer, get some water, do some push-ups. I encourage everybody else to take a quick break in some way, move your body just a little bit differently for a second, do some yoga if you know how, which I don't. Just look away. For some reason, they were harder today than yesterday. All right. So what positions do we have here? So bishop g2. Yikes, poor pawn. Bishop here. If the knight moves somewhere random, he could try d4 to trade off the isolated pawn. If the knight goes to f3 to control d4, well, then at least the bishop's blocked for the moment. But I think a good idea from white is knight f3 and then just plop the knight on d4 to reintroduce that threat. Yeah, that's hard for black to deal with. Because if black trades the knight on d4, I think that's pretty much a losing endgame for black. So this is a nice plan for white. Maybe there was something good that I didn't see as well with the speed that we were going through it, but for sure knight f3 to d4 is a good plan for white. Yo, El Tomas, welcome to the dojo, friend. Thank you for the Bezos bucks. Those are much appreciated. It's probably just about time for me to renew my own Prime subscription to our channel. Well, it's not mine, but once a month I remind my mother-in-law to send us 2 Bezos bucks like that. You beat the highest rated player in your section, Michiko? Woo! Well, that was a big comeback from a mouse slip to 2 wins in a row, huh? Nice. Okay. Yeah, so if black wanted to defend this with the king... Oh, knight f5 doesn't win a pawn because the bishop's on it. Okay, so this is a good defense by Scott. That's the best Scotty could have done. That's all a Scotty can do. On my shirt... Oh, so this shirt duster was originally white, and it's got the logo on it of the school that I used to teach at for a few years, which you probably can't see through the dye. But it's the École Bilingue de Berkeley. And so they gave every teacher a t-shirt in the year of the 40th anniversary of the school. And then my partner dyed it for me with some blue. And I guess something like tie-dyeing or something, but just with blue, just sort of like twisting it so there's more or less blue in different areas. And it came out beautiful, and then all the other teachers were like, I want my shirt to look like that. And this way I could go to school and wear this shirt and it's not just like a plain white shirt. It's like a little bit cool, but of course the school has to be happy because it's the school's shirt. All right, so now we're going to see d4. Sometimes you can freeze a situation like this and then end up like winning something for white. But here black has bishop b5 and white would be the one frozen. So we'll see. White just makes a simple pawn trade. Yeah, all they could do there. Really good defense by Scott. Holding that pawn, trading it when he had to. Man, he's really something else today. Really playing well today. Never play a5 up Feshach. Now I know if I'm ever playing viewers, I can play 1a4 to get your goat, huh? All right, bishop b5 check, keeping the white king at bay, right? Telling the white king, know your role, get back. You did that, Alpha Canis? You played a4 against Ofa? I got to see that game. I got to see that game right now. Sorry, everybody. I know that these two players here are doing a great job of, you know, playing for a win in a tournament or something or whatever, but let's see Ofeshach's last game with Alpha Canis. Wait, does Ofeshach play Bullet? No results found. Shoot, did I misspell Alpha Canis Major? I don't see any draws in the history here. Oh, not on this account. Okay, my mistake. Alpha Canis Majors games. Let's look for a draw. Oh, this is in our tournament? There's no 1a4 here. I'm not getting what I'm looking for. All right. And Scott has the draw in hand here. Wow. So it's going to be a shared first place tournament win for Zintire and Scott here. Bravo. Oh, you were black and you played a5 on move 1? That's the crime. Well, to be fair, it's an endgame, you know. Opfeshach didn't play h4 either. But this is not Opfeshach's h4 account, is it? It's the account where he doesn't play h4. Oh, it's Opfeshach backwards as well, that HCA, HCS thingy. Scotty offers the draw. The game is agreed, drawn. Bravo to both those players. Bravo. And that's the end of the under 1200 section for today. Nice battles, under 1200ers. I don't think I even got to complain about a single move that you guys played in your entire section. So, yeah, very nice. And bravo, of course, to third place, Michiko V3. With 2 out of 3. 2 wins and 1 mouse slip. No losses. All right, let's find another awesome game to watch. Let's see who's in the lead in the 1200 to 1600 section and maybe check out some of their play. Oh, we did see Noob Loser in the first round. And Noob Loser is in good position again here, actually. Paulie's in trouble. Down a pawn, but most importantly, this king is ready to lay out the red carpet for the G-pawn. So the big danger for white is that black goes g4 and h4 as a pawn sack. And then if pawn takes, you know, g3 check, g2, g1. That looks basically just overwhelming right here. I don't see how white defends against g4. But white's got their own thing coming. I just think because of the check, actually, black's going to queen faster. Daster, I think there's another 40 minutes to the stream, probably. Approximately. We're going to watch this whole round, then we're going to have a whole other round after that. Then maybe I'll discuss the end game a little bit longer with people if they want to, answer 1 or 2 questions about the games. So, yeah, head to bed. Head to bed if you're tired. You want them to shuffle while you make tea. Here's a good exercise for you, PB Corporeal. While you go make tea, try and picture the position after g4 in your head. And just try and look at the position in your head while you're making your tea. G4 exclam from the noob loser. Okay, Pauly quickly ignores it. Pauly playing this game very fast this round. You can see 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Didn't put too much thought in it. Wango had come up with the idea that bishop f1 was the only plausible defense for white, which is absolutely what I've been looking at, right? And then here, 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 this position here, black just needs this to happen, so here, oh, sorry. So check first to get the king away, here, and then g2, here, and here. Actually, maybe this is not that easy to win for black, right? Yeah, that's not easy to win at all. So definitely the move bishop f1 offers some kind of defense. Maybe black should play e4 to take the square away from the king in advance, so this king remains bottled up, right? And then here go like this. And now white has a choice between taking or pushing, right? You could push, takes, here, here, and it wins for black, yeah. So a5 was played, h4 was played, here, check, here, pawns coming down. That's it for Pauly. Oh, d4 is even better, says Wango. So you can put the bishop on d5. Yeah, but if you play d4, Wango, in those positions, in general, won't white play e4, and then your bishop can't come to d5 anyway? Then how do you take the f3 square away from the white king? It seems like just so clear to put the pawn on e4 like I did, right? a6 is a cool idea. Yeah, very nice idea, Gothmog. Okay, so g4, bishop, g4, bishop here, e4, a5, here. Now here in, oh right, we played this, this, and this. Yeah, the thing is, after a6, this bishop can still get back to stop it, so it doesn't make a big difference, right? The bishop just comes here, 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 and black wins. Okay, so here's the game. Black has checkmated white. Noob loser will go into the last round in first place in this section with 3 out of 3. Let's see, working class hero and Pauly each have 2 out of 3. So nobody else is keeping up with him. We've got Banana Stand and Piano Guy playing here. Banana Stand is up a pawn, but the black king is in such a good position that I would guess the position is a draw. I mean, it's also opposite colored bishops, so I would have guessed that anyway, even if the black king were like on e7. But there would be real winning chances for white, I think. After king f1, the move king f3 to g3 to h3 looks promising, but loses to e5 check. So that's like a thing that black needs to watch out for. Oh, but white was worried about king f3 and sacks the pawn, which is now is very dangerous for white, honestly. Bishop c3 controls all of this. a5 just freezing them. Yeah, that's a good move from Piano Guy as well. And now white's in real danger because black's got the plan of f3, king f4, king g3 to try and like win this pawn. And then bishop on d4. And then f2 to take it and come back. The bishop's got to go here. And I'm not sure if black can win, but it's really dangerous for white. Okay, that's the wrong direction. That's not a problem for white. It's got to be coming this way with f3, king f4, king g3. It's the only thing really scary I see for black to do. f3 would keep the white king out. The white king can always go to f1, right? That's the best black can do. f3 should be tried to make space for the king. Oh, that's a very passive square for that bishop. And once again, Piano Guy's opponent is about to flag. Last game also, Piano Guy got the opponent down to like the dregs of their time. King into g3. And white's also like zugzwanged here. No moves to make. That allows king g2. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Oh my goodness. Piano Guy won with same colored bishops and the next round with opposite colored bishops. Do. Feeling good. Feeling good. Nice. And this is on like a work break. This is about as fun as a work break gets, right? To win a same colored bishop and an opposite colored bishop endgame in one work break. Defend it. Oh, it's done. It's done. I'm just going to move to another game, honestly. It's so done. How's Aaron doing against Paul 184? Equal material. Black's got more space, but the pawn structure has become stuck in a way that doesn't favor this bishop. I think that other game just ended in a win for Piano Guy. I don't see it on my list anymore. Let's just assume Piano Guy won that one against Banana Stand. And now we're into round 4. Round 4 for the 1200 to 1600 section. Working Class Hero 1 point behind Noob Loser as they play on the top board here. Working Class Hero would have to win with black to force a big first place tie in this section. Enjoy your classical game, Dubious Savant. That's true, PB. He's much, much better at piano even than at chess. And he's having a pretty good chess day today. Pretty good chess day for a piano guy who's not even a piano guy primarily, but a social worker with the side of piano guy. And then that means the chess is the side on the side. And also just raised his rating a bunch of points because it was on long hiatus. I guess he hadn't played for so long. Chess.com's readjusting his rating quickly. Let's check out this Aaron versus Paul endgame. They had less players op Fashach. There were 6 players in the under 1200 section, and the minimum number of players for a 4-round tournament is 8 on chess.com. So I set the tournament to be 4 rounds long. We only had 6 participants, so chess.com reset the number of rounds down to 3. So let's see how this goes. If the white king could get to e4, I would think that white has good chances of winning. Does the knight have anywhere from which it can check this king? I don't see it. Black seems to have all the checking squares covered. Yeah. So his king is safe from knights. Completely safe. He's got the keep knights at bay formation here. And that probably means the game is a draw, but there are things white can try. White could try a3, b4, making it past pawn. White could try to bring the knight to the king side, play h4, h5, fix the weakness on h6, and try and attack that with the knight and see if that gets the knight access to a check somehow if white brings the knight to g4, f5 eventually. Okay, but white goes for making a pass pawn over here. I don't think it's going to be a major problem for black because b5, there's always king c5, but black is in the 15 to 20 second range, so even like not a major problem could be a bit of a problem. Like for example, right here, 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 if black takes, knight takes, hitting this, g5 knight here, and black probably just lost, right? Oh, sorry. Black definitely loses to knight d7 check, right? King here, takes, takes, here. So it doesn't take a huge problem to push someone over the edge when they've got a few seconds on the clock. Here, white could also play knight e5 as well as b6. Yeah, these are big problems for black. Knight e5, knight f7. Oh, this totally worked. Aaron with the b4 plan. That was actually pretty good. We did not really see a defense for Paul against this. The knight emerges with the victory. I mean, I guess white's only up one pawn so far, but there's the flag as well. You know, this isn't going to provide much counterplay, and this is like a pretty big majority to like push through. Plus, white's still threatening to win this pawn and to play knight e5, f7 to go after this one. It was a lot to take in from black's perspective. I would have probably bashed out bishop f6 just to play a couple more moves, but that may bring us to round 4, last round for the 1600 plus section. Aaron and Douglas are tied with 2.5 out of 3, followed by Q-Bird with 2. So Q-Bird here on board 2. If he wins and they draw, he could tie for first place, and a win would assure Q-Bird at least second place today. So this is a game to keep our eyes on, and let's see what the top players have figured out as far as what they want to do on the first couple moves so far. Here, f5, just trying to take all that space from black. You got to watch out for your dark squares as black in this position. Maybe g6 and the king runs to a dark square would make sense here. Is white looking at knight b5 and then maybe knight c7. So black's got to watch out for that. If you played an innocent like king move like this, knight b5 here, knight here, and your bishop's attacked, your pawn's attacked, your bishop has to defend both of these pawns, it all falls down. All right, so Aaron is taking a deep think about this next move here because knight b5 is looking problematic. Oh, that's interesting, Wrath of Gods. That was in the position where white was playing knight takes e5. You want it? No, I must have the position wrong. Because that doesn't make sense. Like, why would you play f4 instead of knight e5 when there's a pawn on e5? Okay, black pre-defends a7. Introduces the possibility of a d4 move to just open up the bishop pair. Not to make a passed pawn, mind you. I don't think here black is really looking to get an isolated passed d pawn that's blockaded. I think the idea is in some cases black might want to put a bishop there just so it attacks f2 and it's got more scope. But really this king should come now. I don't believe in like d4 when it's the white king that's coming, not the black king. So I would still go g6 and bring the king this way. Sadly, it was in that position. That doesn't seem realistic. Does it, Wrath of Gods, to play f4 instead of knight takes e5? Hey, Bartholomeus. That's a video I made that's designed to provide an under 1200 player with all the advice they need to make it up to 1200. Everything about how they should spend their time, when they should play, how they should play, who they should play, what time control, what they should read or watch. It's all in there. Put mouse and computer back. That's a very good rule of thumb. You got to bring your material with you. The new video has worked for, I would say, like a couple dozen people by now at least, who've like come back and said like, yes, I was 600 or I was 800 and now I'm 1200. And although everybody's different, the 1200 video does take that into account and provide advice, which I think would actually work for everybody. All right, the king's coming. I like to see the king coming in here. I am noticing that there's another idea for black, which is to play e4, sort of like messing with this bishop a bit, right? And then d4 takes here. And you've already got this pawn structure that is very nice for controlling the light squares while your bishop moves through it. And, you know, if king d2, bishop takes, so you could force the knight somewhere, you know, maybe slightly bad. And then this might be a really good position for black. That said, it makes a lot of sense to bring the king closer first before going for it. It would not, Pudsey. That video would not give you useful advice for you. If you're already 1500 on chess.com, do not watch it. Okay. White tries to fight back on the dark squares. My first instinct is that this is a very bad move from Douglas, leaving this pawn weaker. Black will be happy to grab more space with e4, and now this advance has just made it easier for this bishop to come behind and attack everybody. So even though it's nice that the bishop's attacking here, I think black still plays d4 in this position. Also, the more you like move these pawns, look at this plan for black, right? To come in. That's made possible by the white pawn structure being, you know, fixed, right? The stuff can't move anymore. It's just fixed. Hooray, chess talk! Oh, you guys are predicting the noob loser versus working class hero game. Very similar, right? Black still got the bishop pair and has a nice space advantage with the pawn on e4 in this game. But nothing's decided yet, but I would favor black's position for what it's worth. Noob loser is the player who's on 3-0 so far. And working class hero just trades in the bishop pair. That's exactly what I liked about black's position, was the bishop pair. By the way. All right, let me get back to this. Knight's on b5. Expecting bishop g1 here. Like, it's true that after king f1 you can't take because of king g2, but there's no harm in playing bishop g1, king f1, and then putting your bishop on c5 or b6, right? It's always good for you to let white play king f1. Is there any concern with knight d6 check? No. So yeah, just bishop here is what I would go for. Chess Talk has perhaps not missed a minute of stream for the last week. I think Chess Talk has been watching a lot. Okay, knight c7 comes in. So white's looking at bishop c4, trying to trade off one of the pieces here. Okay, bishop just backs off of the diagonal. If check, the king can come up. Check. I guess the king's going to have to go to like g6 or somewhere. Not easy. Not easy for the black pieces to avoid trades here. And bishop g1, king f1, bishop back wouldn't have totally avoided this. It would have just been a little bit better because the white king would have been further away, I think, but not by much. I don't know, Wrath of Gods, did you try it? Exclam watch time. Oh, you did, and it didn't show your time. I don't know. Noocratic, I'm not pumped about white's pawns actually being on dark squares where this bishop can attack them at some point, and I like that these pawns are controlling light squares while the bishop controls dark squares. I think black's perfectly strong here. But g6, holding all this. Oh, if black takes. Yeah, black should not take. Yeah, black should be avoiding that trade. We were watching another game for a second, and black just voluntarily traded the bishop for knight, which, sort of like horrified me, because that was sort of like the whole of the advantage in a position like this. Mitch, the watch time thing was only set up in the last month, I think. So it couldn't say like weeks and weeks yet. It has to just be based on, like the max would be whatever, like 200 some hours, because that's how much we've streamed in that time, 280 hours or something. Okay, so this one here, I mean, yeah, black doesn't have any advantage, really. I don't know. Looks like both players have resources here. White's trying to poke at this structure, yeah. So now the bishop will probably poke from this side. Yeah, it looks like Douglas is surviving this now, right? Looks like he's surviving. I don't recommend bishop h7, bishop e8, and the bishop's kind of trapped there. But bishop f7 looks pretty fine. And now the bishop can go here. I think not Wrath of Gods. I think basically black can just go to like win the bishop, right? So you do something like this. Black can probably like, take and then start walking the king over this way. Oh, I guess you still have chances to like, you're not yet committed to losing the bishop, huh? Okay, it may be possible to play like this because you could still back out with bishop g8 at some point. It seems very risky, whereas this looks very, very good for white, right? Right. Yeah, that may be playable, but I mean, look at this. The bishop's never trapped. You just attack a piece, come here. This can't be defended. That was forced now, as far as I can tell, to trade that off. And now the king's going to have to come this way. Oh, actually, it doesn't have to. I just think it will. Doesn't have to. Now, same colored bishops. Black's pawns are on light squares, but there is a protected passer. That's potentially an outside passer. The white king can deal with it while being centralized. I don't even know for sure who has the advantage in this position here. I don't know, like, which player is trying to, win and which player is trying to draw or whatever. It's not something that's clear to me with this game. True that, Nordovik. True that. Okay, the black king just goes for activity. Says there's nothing to be done by going over to f6. I can harass this bishop, but it just comes out. And then I ask myself why I'm doing it. Okay. I hear you. So instead, he says, hopefully this construction here, hopefully it's strong enough to keep the opponent's king tied up, and I want to get in here. So the most obvious move for white in a position like this is a3, keeping the king out. But of course, we have to look at complicated moves like g4 as well at this point. Both players have to do that. And we also look at trades g4, and we look at trades h4, making an outside pass to h-pawn. Perhaps the most exciting move of all, right? Because it looks like it might just queen. Okay. First trade from Douglas. I think he's going to go for h4. Yup. Now, f4 check, gf4, gh4, bishop e4. White's got the long diagonal and an extra pawn. So f4 doesn't seem to save... f4 doesn't seem to save black from this issue here. This h-pawn is an issue. And how are other champions doing? Noob Loser here with 12 seconds left. Needs a draw to win the 1200 to 1600 section. The position looks like drawish, but the time on the clock is risky. And I guess black can even still pose some problems for white. Like, there are things black can do that sort of like maybe threaten to win one of these pawns with the king. So things could go wrong. Wow, now Piano Guy gets to play knight versus bishop with an extra pawn. What a fun day for Piano Guy. What a fun day. All right, what's going on here? h4 happened, trades, and Aaron is still just staring at this in worry, right? Can the black king get back in time? It can. The black king is still in the box of that pawn. So in theory, the king can still get across like this. Very important not actually to go through d5, because then king f4, and if you go through here, this is check. Right? So here, if the white king goes here, he can just keep running back this way, because bishop f5, you take, and queen for black. So king d6, I think that was the right move. And is the game still a draw? I guess yes. Black is still just barely drawing, maybe, now that he's coming back this way. these two players are leading the top section, Paul. They're tied with 2.5 out of 3. There's one player chasing them, half a point behind Q-Bird in this position here. Up a pawn with white against Pictus. But still within the realm of positions that black, can or should draw if they play really well. Oh, wait. Did our other game finish? No. Still going. Noob loser with 9 seconds still on the clock. Threatening d6. Bishop takes bishop d7. What a great defensive find here, as he's losing this pawn, to come up with this option. That doesn't stop this at all. Oh! Working class hero with a minute on the clock is the one to blunder, and noob loser, of course, planned d6 and plays d6. And that is it for working class hero. The hero has been cut down. Oh my goodness, by the opponent in time trouble. That is simply brutal. That is simply brutal. I am, PB. I am. King f4 to e5 to f6. The king's got to do it. Yeah, this king needs to get into the game. Come on, noob loser. Cap it off. Make a perfect score. Win this thing. Bring your king. Yeah. Yeah. Good move. It's a win. It's a win. The king just needs to be on the side with the pawn. No, 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 no. Wrong side, wrong side, wrong side. Careful, careful. Folks, for everyone at home, the right place for your king is with his passed pawn. Okay? With his passed pawn, you can freeze the opponent's pawn with your bishop and then just queen the b pawn with your king coming with it. Okay? All right, here's where we're at now. If white ever takes this pawn runs, and when white stops it with the bishop, the king gets the draw. So the king went to the wrong side. Hopefully that makes sense and is an instructive moment for you all. That the king needed to go to his pawn to win. The king can never capture these two pawns successfully. What you need to do is freeze them and bring the king here to win with 3 seconds left. Pawn advances. This pawn will just keep going. And that is a draw. Working class hero salvages the dojo gold of Sophie Rose, at least. Now, king c5 before you play g2. There you go. Well done, working class hero. Bravo on the save. I'm a little disappointed. I wanted to see a perfect tournament from Noob Loser. Folks, let me just show you how this is winnable, right? King here, threatening to take this. G5, bishop here. Now the pawns can't move, so black's like here, 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 check, here, here. If you ever move a pawn, white can take it, right? Here, 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 here. Okay? Now, you just wait a move with the bishop at some point once you get near the end. So king comes here. I take that square away from the king. Now the opponent can either play h5 losing a pawn or king in here. Right? And then we play king here. This always, always wins for white with the extra piece. It can always freeze these pawns and win. Even if these pawns were like at g3 and h4 or g3 and h2, you could put the bishop on this diagonal. Let's show it. Let's just let those pawns go by. Now, of course, g2 wins for black here. I'm just, for argument's sake, setting this up. You get some position like this. White can always win by just moving the bishop here on this diagonal, right? At some point, the king's going to have to step away. We just wait. If the king steps away, king a7 and wins. If the pawns sacrifice themselves, well, it's all the same. Eventually, the king has to step away. Okay. Daniel, fantastic tournament. That was certainly exciting. We've still got the top board playing here in the 1600 plus section. Tournament's still on the line. Bishop and 2 pawns against bishop and 2 pawns. They're pointing in weird places. I'm going to have to figure out which side is white and black again. You're welcome, Piano Guy. Hope you had a great time there. Excellent, Hatch Crowley. Excellent. You're welcome, Steve Nash. You're welcome, everybody. I'll stick around for another like 15 minutes or so to talk about the position with anybody who wants to. Wait, it looks like white's slowly cleaning up and winning this endgame, while I still hadn't figured out which side was white's and which side was black's. Okay. So this is black's pawn. It's sort of going down. Played here. White took en passant. Okay. Oh, and white doesn't go like this because black can sack the bishop for it. So white has to bring the king back, take that, and black resigned because basically what white does is puts the pawn on a7 and then plays bishop f3 to trade this bishop off of that pawn. Whew. Okay, I need to like go back a few moves and just see how that finished. But of course, congratulations to Douglas on winning the 1600 plus section, as well as our congratulations to Noob Loser on winning the 1200 to 1600 section. Let's just check out a little bit more of this. So we saw it to like this kind of position here. King here, pawn there, takes, takes. Not forced to take, right? Takes, takes. King here, goes and defends it. Here, here. Okay, so black messed it up somewhere here because this position shouldn't be losing. Even here, I don't think it's losing. First of all, the king's good on this square here. So I don't think the king should come off of that square. How about playing a6 at some point? If the bishop takes you, you can take this. I know, that looks insane, but yeah, and it's not necessary. Okay, let's just move the bishop around. Bishop here. Here, bishop here. Here. No, I do like having the pawn on a6 because it lets me play bishop b5 in some positions with the e-pawn, right? But okay, let me refresh the actual game. Because even when the pawn came to b5, I think black can draw. They just need to go attack this pawn with the bishop. So e3, king c7. Here, here. Oh, now they're too slow to come attack this. Wow. Okay, hang on. So once the pawn gets to b5, let's see if we can still find a defense for black. Maybe this surprising move. Just trying to trade off that pawn, right? Now, if it takes, you just take with the bishop, draw. If b6 is going to be the other move. If king c7, you take, and it's a draw. I just want to cover the easy ones first, right? This pawn runs. Eventually, the bishop has to go deal with it. So b6, a5. Actually, maybe we didn't even need to play a6. Maybe a5. It's like the more obvious move right here. a5 right here. King here, bishop here. The point is, whatever this pawn does, you can just sack for it and you run the a pawn. And yeah, this looks fine for black. Yeah. So I see Aaron and Douglas are both in the chat as well. Let's see. You considered a6 but missed the moment. Glad you're back on the horse, Amit, and had a good tournament. So here, right after b5, it's good to have your king on this pawn, because in a position like this, if you play a6, white can take, right? And when you come back here, white defends it. So you need to play, so you do need to play king h6, king here, and now a5. And white's choices are to take, you know, push, king here, that kind of stuff. If they take, black just takes back here, and it's a dead draw, right? This pawn here and bishop can't even win if black lost their pawn and bishop. Oh, actually, which is a good point. That means even in this position, you don't need king h6. You can just play a5 already. Already a draw. Takes. Here, draw. Jones, chill out, man. If you stop yelling at me, maybe you'll learn something. Somebody tell Jones what's good for him. So this king against pawn and a bishop that can't check the king out of the corner is a draw, Jones. This is just a famous draw. It's called rook, pawn, and opposite colored and wrong colored bishop. Or bishop and wrong colored rook pawn. But one or the other, this position is just a draw. There's no way to ever get the black king out of h8. So that means that whenever black wants to, actually, they could have played a5 at any point this game. And anytime white takes, you take. And if white doesn't take, you run this a pawn. And, I mean, I guess this king could try and go run after this pawn here. Threatening to just take it. It's got to go here. Here. Again, it's better if our king's on h6 at some point, right? Because white can try stuff. White can try stuff in a position like this, but still a draw. Still a draw. Yeah. Still a draw. This was a tough one, Aaron. This was a tough one. What song, Fromrad? What song are you waiting for? Sure, Daniel. One tip on time management is to figure out how much time you want to be using, how much you want to have left at the end of a game, figure out how long the game's going to be, and then sort of parcel out how much time you should be using every 10 or 20 moves. And then you can keep track of that. You can look at your games and look at the timestamps and see how you did, basically. So, like, let's say your games are on average 40 moves long and you're playing like a 15-minute time control. You can say, like, for safety, you want to have 1 or 2 minutes left at the end of the game. So that gives you, you know, let's say 13 minutes to use over 40 games. And that's 3 minutes and 15 cents. 3 minutes and 15 cents. 3 minutes and 15 seconds every 10 moves. And then you just go through, like, 10 game, you know, every time you play a game, you just go back through it and see how much time did I have at move 10, move 20, move 30, and move 40. And just see how you were doing as far as being close to it. If you have a really bad problem with it, then you can use a spreadsheet to record how you're doing. And that's what I've done for some people, is had them do that. You make a spreadsheet, you write into the spreadsheet how much time you should have at every move, right? And then you just log your games into the spreadsheet. It's kind of the same as, like, sometimes people analyze their game looking for like how they did on the board, right? Like if somebody's main problem is time management, and generally I think people should work on one main thing at a time, not like 5 different things. So if you want to work on your time management, Daniel, you need to not worry about the moves you're playing in those games, honestly, until you figure out the time management factor. So forget about like, I'm trying to work on my end games, or I'm trying to work on like, the Sicilian defense, or I'm trying to like be more alert to my opponent's tactics. Forget that stuff. You're just working on your time management for at least like 2 weeks, let's say. And all you do when you review the game, you don't check which move is better or worse or anything like that. All you do is you go to move 10, you write down how much time you have. Move 20, you write down how much time you have. Move 30, you write down how much time you have. And you just enter that into your spreadsheet, and then you go back through later on and judge it, right? So here's like an example. You see that? It just shows here's the goal for how much time to have on each move. I know it's like impossibly small right now, sorry, but it's just like a quick example for you here. I'll just put it all over my face, right? So there's like, this is for like a classical game. This is for 90 minutes. So like the goal is like, there's like a 5-minute window, right? At least 77 minutes, not more than 82. At least 59, not more than 64, right? And you just write down how much time you had on each move. That's it. Then you're done analyzing your games. You don't do anything more than that. That's it, right? You want to see it for like 15-minute games, right? 15-minute games, right? Here's the time area that you want to have left, and then you just write down how you did on time, right? How much time you had at each move. And that's it. That's all you do. You don't look for better moves or any of that stuff. Oh shoot, I totally messed up my screen grab. Bear with me, folks. I just ruined it. For chessboards, which is what we mostly look at. But, when you're in that shape where you just need to be working on your time management, then all you need to do is the spreadsheet. You don't even need to play over the moves of your game. Honestly, that's it. You just log your time and check how you're doing. And you may have seen the color coding in this. I don't want to like mess up my screen stuff too much, but you may have seen like the color coding in some of these. Like green means you're on track. Yellow means you're like really close, right? See 30 minutes when he was supposed to be 24 to 29. 6 minutes when he was supposed to be at 5. 56 when he's supposed to be at 54, right? So yellow means like you're really, really close. Red means like you're definitely off. And green means you're good. And you just try to go from like at first you've got like more red, and then towards the bottom you've got more green. And as you get more green and yellow at the bottom, at some point you graduate from using the spreadsheet and you're just good. Your problem is solved. And you move on, you move back to like looking at your games for like blunders or for how to make a plan in the middle game or whatever else it is that you want to work on. Yeah. That was specifically Mitch's spreadsheet. And Mitch was famous for like 6 months in here for Mitching it by playing too fast and blowing winning positions. And in about 1 week, you got rid of the problem, right, Mitch? That had plagued you for like 6 months or maybe more. I mean, I'd known you for 6 months, but I think you fixed it in about a week, at least 7 days, not more than 14. And that was it. Now Mitch uses his time well. Recently, he redeemed one of those free lessons you can get from 100,000 Dojo Gold. So I did a new profile on him, played through, 20 games of his, and one of his strengths is time management. Okay, it's plagued him from 5th grade until last October, and in November he fixed it. And now it's not just that it's not a major problem, his time usage is literally good. It's a strength on his profile now. Okay? And you can see he played about maybe 20 games that week, maybe more, 20 to 30 games, something like that. And then it was. It is not illegal to write down the time after each move on your score sheet in OTB. No, BGQ. Many people do that. So, Yeah. So honestly, Daniel, if you want to do that, I would say not include it in your game reviews, but completely replace game reviews with that for 1 to 2 weeks or whatever till it's fixed, right? And then you can get back to whatever you do with your game reviews normally. But also the odds are that you do your game reviews wrong. So if you're worried about your time management, take care of that, and then we can talk about how to review your games. I have a video on the subject that you can just watch when the time comes for players in the 14 to 1600 range, which I think you are. I think you were the winner of our tournament, right, Noob Loser? In the 1500s. So that video will be appropriate for you. You can find it in the dojo YouTube channel when the time comes for you. You're welcome. You're very welcome, and congratulations on your tournament win today. All right. Anything else we wanted to cover here, folks, with this endgame? Does anybody have any questions about the endgame we just played? Oh, we could see if you guys think white or black was better. I'm curious what you guys thought as far as white or black being better. Here's like an official poll so I can see what you all thought. And just to remind everybody, this was the starting position so you can remember who's white and who's black in this position. I invented this particular endgame Opferschach. It's not from any game. In my head, it comes from the Grunfeld defense, but I just created it. Like the endgame that Kosti and I played today, we just created, right? This one here, I just invented. I mean, it's not like a composition or anything. It's just like a typical practical position, right? It's like a good example of what you could get in a game. I put the black king here so that, I mean, normally in a real game, this king would be on g8, right? That's what's fake about it. But it was the fastest way for me to reduce black's advantage. With the king on g8, black has a bit of an advantage. But by putting the king on h8, I was actually able to reduce black's advantage substantially. Very, very good answers, folks. Wow, I thought you guys would be real. I thought there'd be a lot more people saying black is much better, sort of like biased in favor of the bishop pair. I tried to create a position where the bishop pair wouldn't be as big an advantage. And I think you guys are right. It's somewhere between equal and black is slightly better. But like weirdly, if like the black king were on g8 and pawn on f6, black would be much better. So it doesn't take much. I had to hurt black's development a little bit, let me say, in order to give white a chance to kind of more or less equalize with a very, very precise play. It's white playing the Grunfeld Mitch, yeah, so it could come out of like 1c4 or something. There's some like variations of the English opening that transpose to reverse Grunfelds. So basically, and I don't know that I didn't see a single person play what I would play for white here. But I think on the very first move, you want to get the knight to c3, which is your best square, and then you want to challenge this pawn with bishop g2. I didn't see a single person do that. But that is, I think that is the best approach to this for white, is to start with knight c3, and then play bishop g2, challenging the d pawn and getting black to maybe push and make the passed pawn, or play like e4 and lock things up when they don't, when the pawn on d5 remains sort of backwards. Good Opferschach. I saw a few people play knight c3 on move 1. I don't recall seeing anybody play bishop g2 on move 2, but somebody may have. I mean, I only saw a small fraction of the games. certainly a small fraction of like what people played on the first 1 or 2 moves, right? You did go bishop g2 on move 2. Well, that's very nice, Opashach. That's what I think is best, is the best approach from white. So, yeah. Then again, you guys know I'm still just a slightly advanced beginner student of the endgame. Yeah, I mean, white's not supposed to be able to just win, right? I mean, it's supposed to be a game with a lot of opportunity for white and black to, you know, express their skill through the moves that they choose. It's supposed to be very like practical, not just like you find one solution and then the game is over or whatever. It's not like there's just one way for black to win or one way for white to draw. It should be a whole game. And it's true that today I didn't hear people complaining too much like, oh, why did I get white? White's so much worse or anything like that. People just kind of played both sides. So I guess you guys didn't think that it was too unequal. All right, folks. Yeah, you're welcome, Paul. And yeah, I guess it's a good place to say goodbye to this end game. It was a nice one. We had fun. And let's see, where do we want to go raid? A super blitz arena? No, a viewer tournament sounds good. Viewer tournament sounds good. That's our normal speed. I had fun. All right, folks, we're going to raid Eric Rosen. If he tells you to play the Stafford Gambit, don't play it and warn me, and I won't raid him in the future. But it says that he's doing a viewer tournament, and that means it could be like exactly the kind of stuff we like, you know, analysis of real games, of real players like you guys. That should be relevant for all of you. So, yeah, I hope that's good. What else do we have today? Oh, I've got some lessons to go prepare. We've got group lessons tonight. All right. Cheers.